Beloved soul, I welcome you into this sacred hour where we shall awaken together to a truth long forgotten, a truth hidden beneath centuries of conditioned worship and misunderstood devotion. You were never meant to crawl before God like a beggar in the dust. You were born to stand as a radiant child of the infinite, speaking words that carry the authority of spirit itself. For ages, humanity has learned to pray with trembling lips, whispering pleas into a seemingly silent heaven, fearing that their cries might not reach the divine ear, or fearing that they were unworthy of response. But I tell you now, in the quiet certainty of spiritual realization, heaven is not deaf, nor is God distant. The stillness you mistake for absence is not indifference, but infinite readiness, waiting for you to remember who you truly are. When you pray in desperation, you believe you are separate from divine power. You feel small, weak, abandoned by the cosmic forces that breathe life into every star and every heartbeat. But when you pray as a soul awakened, when you command in harmony with God's will, you discover a higher law. Divine power does not merely listen to you, moves through you. The voice you think is your own is meant to be an instrument for Spirit's decree. When you speak from that level of alignment, heaven does not deliberate whether to respond. It must respond, for it is your own divine essence that is issuing the command. This, beloved, is the forgotten power of divine command, a power known to saints and masters who have walked this earth as awakened sons and daughters of God. They did not merely ask meekly for miracles, they commanded light to shine in darkness, disease to dissolve in divine vitality, destiny itself to be redirected according to the higher plan of spirit. They did not do so with human arrogance or personal force, but with deep humility, knowing fully that they were instruments of the eternal. They allowed the voice of God to speak through their own, and because of that, mountains moved and the very elements of creation bowed in response. Today, we shall walk together into this mystery, not as philosophers debating the nature of prayer, but as spiritual scientists returning to a living truth. You were born with the authority of divine speech. Your words, when infused with faith and harmony with spirit, are not weak sounds lost in empty air. They are currents of energy shaping the fabric of reality. Let us set aside, for this sacred time, the old posture of fearful pleading and rediscover the posture of divine remembrance, where you speak to heaven as a soul speaking to its source, where you command not to bend God's will to yours, but to merge your will with His, that His power may flow unimpeded through you. Close your eyes for a moment now, beloved. Place your hand upon your heart and silently affirm, I am not a beggar in the house of my Father. I am a child of the infinite. Divine power breathes through me. Heaven hears me, for heaven lives within me. Feel the truth of these words vibrating through your being as we begin this journey into the art and science of divine command, the way to speak and have heaven respond with certainty and love. Beloved soul, as we journey deeper into this sacred teaching, let us pause to reflect on who and what you truly are. From birth, the world has whispered countless identities into your ears, that you are a frail body destined to perish, a mortal mind tossed about by fate, a fragile creature dependent on the mercy of unseen powers. These illusions are so persistent that even when you kneel in prayer, they whisper through your thoughts, telling you that you are small and separate from the vast intelligence that governs the cosmos. But this is not the truth of your being. This is a veil of delusion that hides your divine heritage. The masters from ages past have torn through this veil and spoken with the voice of spirit itself. They saw that within every human heart dwells the spark of the infinitia flame of the same divine light that set the stars ablaze, a consciousness born of the very essence of God. This spark is not metaphorical. It is a living, radiant presence in you. And because of it, you are not merely a petitioner before heaven, you are a co-creator with it. The words you speak, the thoughts you hold, the intentions you nurture, all these are seeds cast into the soil of cosmic law, and in time they bear fruit according to the energy with which they were planted. This is why Yogananda taught that you must never see yourself as powerless before life's trials. The soul, when awakened, commands realities because it is one with the source from which realities arise. Divine authority is not granted by earthly crowns or human titles. It is the birthright of every soul made in the image of spirit. When you speak from the surface of ego, your words scatter like leaves in a storm. But when you speak from the still depths of your soul, attuned to God's vibration, Your words become streams of divine will, carving paths through the fabric of existence itself. Remember, beloved, Christ himself said, "It is not I, but the Father within me who doeth the works." This is the eternal law of divine command. It is never the frail human personality that moves heaven and earth. It is the soul aligned with spirit, allowing God to act through it. When your consciousness rises from the dark soil of fear and doubt and blossoms in the light of this realization, you begin to see prayer not as a desperate cry to a distant God, but as a dialogue of oneness, where your voice carries the authority of divine truth. Imagine now, beloved, a prince wandering lost in a forest, forgetting that he is heir to a kingdom. When he meets a servant of the palace and asks for bread with trembling hands, the servant is surprised, for he knows the prince has every right to command a feast prepared. In the same way, heaven waits patiently for you to remember your soul's royalty. It listens to every humble plea, yes, but it rejoices when you speak with the authority of divine remembrance, knowing that in such moments you have awakened to the truth. You and the Father are not two, but one. Hold this truth in your heart now. I am not separate from divine power. I am its vessel, its instrument, its radiant expression. With this knowing, let us move further, beloved, to see why so much of human prayer fails to bear fruit, and why pleading from fear can never unlock the gates of heaven's infinite response. Beloved soul, as we lift our consciousness higher, we must speak plainly about the sorrowful habit that has diminished prayer for countless seekers, the habit of pleading as though God were a stern monarch to be convinced, rather than the ever-present friend of your soul. When the heart is heavy with fear or desperation, it naturally reaches upward for help, yet because of the fog of delusion, it often does so in a way that weakens rather than strengthens its connection to spirit. This is why many prayers seem unanswered, why cries of despair echo into silence, not because God ignores them, but because the vibration of such prayer is out of harmony with divine law. Consider, beloved, how pleading prayer is shaped. It often arises from the thought, I am powerless, I am unworthy, I am separate from divine good, and perhaps, if I cry enough, God might take pity on me. This vibration is steeped in doubt and rooted in ignorance of your own divinity. Words uttered from this consciousness do not move with the creative force of spirit. They sink under the weight of fear. The cosmic law responds not to words alone, but to the energy, the conviction, and the divine alignment behind them. When prayer is wrapped in disbelief, it cannot pierce the clouds of Maya to reach the realm of divine certainty. Yogananda often taught that prayer is not meant to beg, but to awaken remembrance. Imagine a child standing before a loving parent, trembling as though asking for something forbidden. The parent would wish the child to know their love, to speak boldly and joyfully, knowing they are cherished. Similarly, God does not need to be persuaded to love or to bless you. The infinite already holds you in eternal compassion. The true purpose of prayer is not to change God's will, but to lift your consciousness into alignment with it, where blessings already flow like rivers of light. When you plead from fear, beloved, you affirm separation. You declare silently that spirit is far away, that miracles are uncertain, that divine power is something you must coax into action. But when you command in faith, you affirm oneness. You say silently, Father, I know thy power flows through me. Thy light fills this moment. Thy will is already done. Such a declaration carries certainty, and heaven responds not because it has been convinced, but because it has been recognized. This is why masters never prayed as beggars. They stood in stillness, centered in the spiritual eye, and felt the vibration of God's presence. From that attunement, they spoke simple, potent words, not elaborate pleas, but affirmations of divine reality. And because their consciousness resonated with spirit, their words reshaped matter, healed disease, calmed storms, and transformed destiny itself. Understand this, beloved. You do not need to shout to reach God. You do not need to chain your prayers with doubt or endless repetition. What you need is the vibration of divine certainty, the upward command of a soul remembering its unity with the infinite. When prayer rises from this state, it is not merely heard, it is fulfilled instantly, for it is spirit speaking to spirit, truth declaring itself through your own awakened being. Hold this new understanding close. I shall no longer plead in fear. I shall command in faith, knowing my words are streams of divine will. Let us now step into the science of why this works, the hidden vibrational law that makes commanding prayer the most powerful spiritual force in existence. Beloved soul, to understand why divine command has such power, we must turn inward and observe the hidden mechanics of creation itself. The universe you see around you, mountains and rivers, planets and stars, even the very cells of your body did not arise from physical matter alone. It was spoken into existence by vibration. At the dawn of creation, God uttered the cosmic word, the eternal sound of Aum, and that divine vibration rippled outward through the silent void, condensing into light, energy, and finally, the forms we know as worlds and living beings. Every word you speak is an echo of that first divine command. Thoughts are vibrations of mind. Words are crystallized vibrations carried on the breath, and breath is infused with pranath, very life force that sustains creation. This is why your words are never just sounds. They are carriers of subtle energy that can heal or harm, uplift or darken, create or destroy. When you speak, even in ordinary conversation, you are shaping reality. For vibrations alter the field of consciousness and the patterns of energy in the invisible world long before physical results appear. But here lies the difference between common speech and divine command. Ordinary speech is scattered. The vibrations are weak because they are clouded by doubts, contradictions, and mental restlessness. Such words barely stir the surface of life's currents. Divine command, however, arises from stillness and focused intention. When the mind is stilled in meditation, when the heart is anchored in faith, and when the consciousness is lifted toward the spiritual eye, the words you speak carry far more than human intention. They are charged with the very electricity of spirit. Yogananda described this as speaking with superconscious conviction. In that elevated state, your consciousness merges with the universal intelligence that governs all laws of nature. When you command from that oneness, you are not asking the universe to change, you are declaring what already exists in divine truth, and the vibration of your words simply calls it forth into visible reality. This is not magic, nor is it manipulation. It is alignment with the vibratory structure of creation itself. Imagine, beloved, striking a tuning fork near a violin string. If the frequency matches, the string vibrates in harmony without being touched. Likewise, when you utter words from a soul attuned to spirit, their vibration resonates with divine law, and conditions in your life shift effortlessly to mirror that higher reality. Whether it is healing, guidance, or transformation you seek, it is not your human will pushing against fate, is divine sound retuning the energies of your being and the universe around you. This is why begging fails and commanding works. Begging sends out erratic vibrations steeped in disbelief, while commanding from divine consciousness sends out pure, coherent vibrations that resonate instantly with the omnipresent power of God. The difference is not in volume or language, it is in vibration, in whether your words carry the fractured energy of ego or the unified resonance of spirit. Hold this in your heart now. When I speak in stillness, from faith and oneness, my words carry divine power. I do not strive to create reality. I declare the truth that God has already made. Next, beloved, we must learn how to prepare the inner temple, how to purify the mind and gather spiritual energy so that when you speak, your words are not fleeting sounds, but living decrees through which heaven itself responds. Beloved soul, before you can speak with the power that moves heaven, you must prepare the inner sanctuary from which such words must flow. For divine command is not an act of willful force. It is a silent flowering of spiritual power that emerges only when your consciousness has been purified and aligned with the infinite. Think of a lamp. No matter how beautifully it is crafted, if its wick is soaked with water or its glass is clouded with soot, no light will shine. So it is with your soul. The ability to command as a child of God is not learned in outward techniques alone. It is born of inner stillness, clarity, and faith. To prepare the inner state, you must first quiet the restless mind. A mind tangled in doubts, fears, and worldly noise scatters its energy in countless directions. Its words lack magnetism because its thoughts lack unity. This is why the masters insist on meditation as the foundation of divine command. When you sit in silence, spine straight, breath slow and rhythmic, attention lifted gently to the point between the eyebrows, you are not merely relaxing, you are reclaiming the life force that was diffused in mental agitation. That energy gathers like a stream returning to its source, and as it does, your entire consciousness becomes charged with spiritual electricity. In that silence, beloved, faith awakens. Not faith as blind belief or fragile hope, but faith as direct perception of God's nearness. You begin to feel the subtle hum of the infinite moving through your breath, your heartbeat, your very thoughts. When this inner communion is established, your words cease to be yours alone. They become vessels for a force far greater than the human mind can conjure. This is why a single phrase uttered by a master in such a state can heal what doctors deemed incurable, can shift destinies that seemed immovable. It is not the syllables themselves, but the concentrated divine energy flowing through them. Purity of intention is also essential. Heaven does not respond to commands born of egoic desire or selfish craving. The vibration of spirit cannot be summoned by attempts to dominate others or accumulate worldly gain for its own sake. Your heart must be steady in seeking truth, harmony, and upliftment for yourself and for all. When you speak from such a place of sincerity and love, the cosmic law responds with precision, because your command is already resonating with divine will. Even the body must participate in this preparation. Before uttering words of power, draw in several slow breaths. Inhale divine strength. Hold it a moment, feeling it gather like a radiant flame in your heart and spiritual eye. Exhale all traces of fear and smallness. This breath practice centers you, filling you with calm vitality. Then, silently affirm, I am not the doer. Spirit alone speaks through me. In that instant, your human voice becomes the voice of the soul, and your soul is one with the voice of God. Remember this, beloved, the preparation is not a mere ritual, but the making of a sacred space within you. When your mind is still, your faith unwavering, your intention pure, and your energy gathered, you stand like a divine temple. From this temple, when you speak, your words are not commands of mortal authority, they are decrees of spirit echoing through eternity, and all forces of heaven must align with them. Beloved soul, once you have prepared the inner sanctuary, stilling the mind, purifying intention, awakening faith, and gathering spiritual power, you must take the final step before divine command can truly flow. You must speak not as a separate being petitioning the heavens, but as a living instrument of the infinite, a channel through which divine will itself is expressed. This is what it means to speak in oneness with God, and without this oneness, the words you utter remain human sounds rather than spiritual decrees. The greatest masters of all traditions have understood this. They did not believe that miracles arose from their personal strength or cleverness. They knew that when they spoke with authority, calming storms, healing bodies, altering destinies, it was not their limited personality commanding anything. It was spirit commanding through them, using their purified consciousness as a medium to bring divine intention into visible reality. This is why Yogananda often said, "When I say I will do something, I am not relying on my human power. It is God who has promised through me, and it cannot fail." To speak in this way, you must first merge your will with the divine will. Sit quietly in meditation and affirm inwardly, "Lord, let thy will be my will. Let thy words be my words. Let thy light shine through every thought and action." As you repeat this prayer, feel your small, anxious self dissolving like a drop into the boundless ocean of spirit. In that union, your desires are purified, and what remains is an alignment so perfect that you no longer wonder whether heaven will respond, for in truth, heaven and you are no longer two. When you are ready to speak, do not let your words rush forth impulsively. Lift your gaze gently to the spiritual eye, breathe calmly, and feel God's presence vibrating in your chest and spine. Imagine that each word you utter is not coming from your throat, but from the radiant center of divine power within you. Speak slowly, clearly, and with unwavering conviction, not with arrogance, but with the humility of a soul that knows it is voicing eternal truth. In that moment, your words cease to be sounds carried on air. They become streams of spiritual energy, shaping the unseen fabric of life. They ripple outward not only to those who hear them physically, but to the very laws of creation, which recognize and obey the vibration of divine oneness. This is why a single command from an awakened soul can alter the course of nature, not because nature is forced into submission, but because it joyfully aligns with the will of God expressed through that soul. Beloved, speaking in oneness with God is the highest form of prayer. It does not plead, it does not doubt, and it does not grasp desperately for results. It simply declares what is already true in the eternal now. When you say, "Peace is here," while anchored in divine consciousness, you are not requesting peace, you are unveiling it. When you say, "Healing flows now," you are not begging for wellness, you are opening the channel through which Spirit's healing power pours freely into matter. Remember always, the words alone are nothing without oneness. But when oneness is present, even a whisper carries the thunder of heaven. Close your eyes now and silently affirm, "Spirit speaks through me. I am one with the infinite." When I speak in faith and truth, it is God commanding, and all creation responds. Beloved soul, having understood that divine command flows from oneness with God, let us now turn to the practical way in which this oneness speaks, through affirmative declarations. The masters have always known that words carry the vibration of creation, and when spoken with unwavering faith and aligned with divine will, they do not merely request change, they become the change, instantly weaving spiritual power into the fabric of reality. Ordinary prayer often says, "Please, Lord, grant me strength," as though strength is absent and must be fetched from some distant heaven. But affirmative declaration says, "In the light of Spirit, I am already strong," and in that moment, the soul remembers its eternal union with the source of all strength. The difference is profound. The first is a cry of separation. The second is a command of remembrance. When you affirm truth as already accomplished in spirit, you bypass the illusions of time and limitation, calling forth divine reality here and now. Yogananda demonstrated this power often. He would not say, "I hope you are healed," but would declare boldly, "By the power of God within you, you are healed." Such statements were not empty optimism. They were vibrations of realized truth. Because his consciousness dwelled in superconscious awareness, the words themselves carried divine energy. Many times, those who received these affirmations would feel currents of light streaming through their bodies, dissolving illness and sorrow, because heaven had been directly invoked through spoken truth. To practice this, beloved, you must learn to speak as though divine reality is already unfolding. This requires faith, but not blind faith, faith born of inner communion with Spirit. Before declaring anything, still your mind in meditation and lift your consciousness upward. From that silence, affirm what you know God's will to be: health, peace, wisdom, abundance, love. Say it aloud with calm conviction, letting each word resonate through your chest and spiritual eye. Feel the vibration of the declaration moving through your breath and filling the space around you. For example, instead of saying, "Lord, bring me peace," declare, "In thy light, peace fills my heart now." Instead of pleading, "God, help me find clarity," affirm, "In thy presence, divine clarity illumines my mind." When such words are spoken not as human hope but as spiritual knowing, they are not wishes, they are divine decrees. And the universe itself must bend to their vibration because they are echoes of the original word that created all things. Beloved, begin now to replace weak, wavering speech with strong, affirmative declarations born of prayerful stillness. Practice daily, not to bend God's will to yours, but to lift your consciousness to where you and the divine are one. From that high vantage, you do not need to plead for miracles. You become the channel through which miracles naturally flow. Close your eyes and affirm silently with me. I speak as a soul in God. My words are divine vibrations of truth. When I declare with faith and love, heaven itself responds, for heaven lives within me. Beloved soul, now that you understand the power of affirmative declarations, let us step into one of the most profound ways this divine command can manifest through healing and transformation. Healing is not only the mending of flesh or the quieting of pain, it is the restoration of harmony between the soul and the laws of spirit. When you command healing, you do not bend nature to your personal desire. You call forth the natural state of divine wholeness that has always existed beneath the surface of illness and disharmony. Yogananda often reminded his disciples that sickness begins in consciousness long before it touches the body. Restlessness, fear, and negative thought patterns disturb the flow of prana, the life force, creating energetic knots that eventually manifest as disease. If illness begins in vibration, it must be healed in vibration. This is why commanding healing is far more effective than begging for it. When you plead, you unconsciously affirm weakness, separation, and helplessness. But when you command healing with the authority of divine oneness, you send a focused current of spiritual energy through every cell, awakening its innate intelligence and burning away disharmony like morning sunlight dispels mist. Consider the way Yogananda healed a young boy afflicted with paralysis. He did not stand by the bedside and say softly, "I hope God heals you." He placed his hand on the boy's head, his eyes blazing with the light of spirit, and declared, "By the power of the infinite, you are well." In that instant, divine energy surged through the boy's body, restoring strength to muscles long frozen by fear and karmic blockage. The words themselves carried the force of spirit because they were not human sounds. They were divine command vibrating from a master's attunement to God. You too, beloved, can begin to awaken this power within yourself. The process begins in stillness. Sit in meditation, quiet the restless mind, and inwardly visualize a radiant light descending from the spiritual eye into the body or the person you wish to bless. In this calm state, affirm with full faith, "By the power of God flowing through me, perfect health now radiates in every cell." Speak slowly, each word vibrating like a bell struck with certainty. If the intention is for emotional healing, declare, "In the presence of spirit, all sorrow is dissolved into divine joy." Healing through command does not require shouting or outward drama. Often, the softest, most centered words carry the greatest power because they are uttered from the still depths of soul awareness. When you speak from that level, you are not asking for healing, you are unveiling it. You are peeling back the veil of Maya to reveal the radiant perfection that is already present in spirit. Transformation works the same way. To change habits, break negative patterns, or dissolve karmic burdens, you must speak to your subconscious mind and your soul with the voice of divine authority. Instead of saying, "I wish I could change," affirm, "By the light of the infinite within me, I am transformed now." Speak these words not as a frail human trying to persuade yourself, but as a soul commanding your own consciousness to rise to its rightful divine state. Remember, beloved, the power of healing and transformation is not yours personally. It flows through you as you surrender to God's will and unite your words with the eternal word that shaped the cosmos. When you command healing in this spirit of humility and faith, heaven responds instantly, and the currents of spirit flow through your being like a river of luminous vitality, carrying restoration wherever they are directed. Beloved soul, just as divine command can heal the body and uplift the mind, it can also reach into the invisible threads of karma and circumstance, altering the flow of your destiny itself. Many imagine that destiny is a fixed stone, carved immovably by past actions and lifetimes of thought and desire. But the masters, who have peered into the vast tapestry of cosmic law, teach otherwise. Karma is not a prison, it is a malleable energy, constantly shaped by the vibrations of your consciousness in this very moment. When you speak with divine authority, your words can redirect that flow, transforming seeming inevitabilities into pathways of light. Most souls move through life passively, allowing karma to toss them like leaves in the wind. They speak weakly of misfortune, saying, "This is just my fate," and their words further entrench the very patterns they wish to escape. But an awakened soul knows that destiny bends to spiritual will aligned with God. Yogananda himself would often declare, "Change your consciousness and you change your fate." And because his words resonated with divine truth, entire courses of life shifted like rivers rerouted by a master engineer of spirit. When commanding destiny, beloved, you must first feel in your heart that you are not a victim of forces outside yourself. The same cosmic intelligence that arranged the stars is alive within you, waiting for you to remember your union with it. Stand in that realization and speak not as one trapped by past karma, but as a soul infused with the freedom of spirit. Lift your gaze to the spiritual eye, draw a deep breath of divine power, and with calm authority declare, "By the power of God within me, I break all chains of darkness. Divine light clears my path, and my destiny unfolds in perfect harmony with spirit." These are not mere affirmations to comfort the mind. Spoken with faith and alignment, They send ripples through the astral and causal worlds, where karma resides as patterns of vibration. When those patterns encounter the higher frequency of divine command, they begin to dissolve or reconfigure, opening doors that seemed forever closed and bringing unseen blessings into view. Many disciples of great masters have testified that a single, faith-filled command redirected the course of their lives from failure to success, from despair to purpose, from bondage to liberation. But remember, commanding destiny is not about bending the universe to egoic desire. It is about aligning your earthly path with the eternal will of God. When you command in this way, you are not forcing your destiny. You are unveiling its highest, most divine expression. Your words become rays of light that pierce through karmic clouds, revealing the luminous road your soul was meant to walk all along. Beloved, never again resign yourself to dark fate without lifting your consciousness. Never believe that past mistakes must dictate future suffering. Speak with the certainty of a child of the infinite. I walk in divine freedom now. No shadow of karma can bind me. God's power shapes my destiny this day and forevermore. When you do this with true oneness of soul and spirit, heaven responds instantly, for heaven's will has always been your highest good. Beloved soul, knowing these truths is only the beginning. Divine command is not a single act performed in desperation. It is a spiritual discipline, a sacred rhythm woven into the fabric of your daily life. Just as a musician masters their art by practicing each day until the instrument becomes an extension of their soul, you must train your consciousness to speak as Spirit speaks, until every word carries the living vibration of divine power. Begin each morning in silence. Before the world's noise rushes into your mind, sit upright, close your eyes, and lift your gaze to the spiritual eye, the divine gateway between your eyebrows. Take several deep, calm breaths. As you inhale, feel that you are drawing in the infinite power of spirit. As you exhale, release all fear, weakness, and doubt into the light of God's presence. In this stillness, silently affirm, Father, Thou art in me. Thy power fills my being. Thy will flows through my every thought and word. Remain in this inner communion until you feel a gentle yet undeniable current of divine strength awakening within you. After this silent preparation, speak 3 strong, deliberate commands for your day. For example, today I walk in God's wisdom. Today divine love radiates through all I do. Today heaven's blessings manifest around me. Speak these words slowly, each syllable resonating with faith. Visualize light streaming outward as you speak, as though your words are living forces shaping the hours ahead. This simple morning ritual, if practiced daily with sincerity, will gradually rewire your mind and spirit, teaching you to speak naturally from the soul's authority. Throughout the day, remain watchful of your speech. Notice when you slip into negative, powerless words, such as I can't, it's impossible, I am unlucky. Each of these is a faint, misguided command shaping your destiny unconsciously. When you catch yourself, pause, breathe, and correct the vibration. By God's light, I can. With divine help, all is possible. I walk in the flow of heavenly abundance. Each correction strengthens your magnetism, turning ordinary speech into a continuous flow of spiritual decrees. In the evening, before sleep, enter silence again. Review your day not with judgment but with awareness. Where did you speak from fear, and where did you speak from faith? Offer both your successes and failures to God, and affirm, Father, I give thee this day. Transform all that was unworthy into light. Prepare me for a new dawn where only thy voice speaks through me. Rest then in the stillness of divine embrace, letting the subconscious mind absorb these high vibrations through the night. Beloved, divine command is not a ritual to perform occasionally. It is a way of being. When practiced daily, it reshapes your consciousness, purifies your speech, and builds an unshakable spiritual magnetism. In time, even casual words you utter will carry unseen blessings, for your very breath will have become an instrument of spirit. Beloved soul, before we close this sacred teaching, we must pause to speak of the great responsibility that comes with awakening the power of divine command. For when you learn to speak as Spirit speaks, to decree with heavenly authority, you hold a force that can bless, heal, and uplift. But if misused, it can also deepen delusion and bind you further to ego and karma. The masters, therefore, always warn their disciples, before you command the outer world, you must command the inner self, purifying intention until only God's will flows through you. The first danger is egoic misuse. If you attempt to command life to serve selfish cravings or to dominate others, you step out of divine alignment. The vibration of spirit cannot be summoned to feed lower desires, for cosmic law responds only to truth and righteousness. Any attempt to manipulate divine power for personal gain creates dissonance, scattering your energy and inviting karmic consequences that may take lifetimes to unwind. True spiritual authority is marked by humility, by the deep knowing that you are an instrument, not the doer. The second danger is lack of discernment. Without clear attunement to spirit, you may speak commands born of anxiety or illusion rather than divine wisdom. Such words lack true power and can even lead you astray, reinforcing fear instead of dissolving it. This is why daily meditation and communion with God are essential to ensure that your declarations arise from the quiet certainty of superconscious guidance, not the restless noise of the subconscious mind. Finally, there is the risk of overconfidence without spiritual maturity. Discovering that your words can shift circumstances may tempt you to believe you have mastered cosmic forces. But mastery is never human. It is divine. The closer you come to true command, the more reverently you bow before the infinite, knowing that only spirit commands through you. A saint does not boast of power. He trembles with gratitude that God has chosen him as a vessel for divine will. Beloved, treat this teaching as sacred fire. In the hands of one purified by love and surrendered to truth, it warms and illuminates, blessing countless lives. In the hands of ego, it burns and blinds. Let your every command begin with a silent prayer. Father, let this word be thine, not mine. Let it serve thy highest good, not my lower self. Spoken from this posture of devotion, every decree becomes an offering, every word a channel of God's light transforming the world through you. Beloved soul, we have journeyed together through a divine revelation long hidden from the minds of men. That prayer is not meant to be the desperate cry of a lost seeker, but the radiant, commanding speech of a soul awakened to its oneness with God. You have learned that pleading is born of fear, while divine command flows from stillness, faith, and unity with spirit. You have seen how the masters healed, transformed, and shaped destinies not by begging but by declaring truth, sending vibrations of divine will into the currents of creation itself. Understand now, you were not created to wander through life helpless and unheard. Within you burns the same spark of the infinite that illumines saints and sages. When you gather your energy in silence, lift your consciousness in faith, and let spirit speak through your words, you become a living instrument of God's creative power. Every command you speak in divine alignment becomes a bridge between heaven and earth, carrying blessings not only for yourself, but for every soul touched by your presence. Yet, beloved, remember always that this power is not yours to claim as personal possession. It belongs to God alone, and it moves through you only when you are emptied of ego, purified by devotion, and surrendered fully to divine will. True spiritual command is not about bending the universe to human desires. It is about becoming so attuned to the heartbeat of spirit that your words and God's words are one and the same. Close your eyes now and place both hands over your heart. Feel the warmth of divine presence pulsing within you. Inhale deeply, drawing in the infinite power of spirit. Hold that breath and silently affirm, I am one with the infinite. Exhale slowly, releasing all doubt and limitation. Now, speak softly with me, knowing these are not mere affirmations but divine decrees awakening in your soul. I am a child of God. I speak with the voice of spirit. Divine power flows through me and establishes all good. Heaven responds, for heaven and I are one. Breathe these words into every fiber of your being until you feel their truth resonate like a bell ringing in eternity. Carry this vibration into every morning, every challenge, every prayer, until divine command becomes as natural as breath, and your life shines as a testament to the spiritual law we have revealed together. That heaven is not a distant throne, it is a living presence within you, ready to respond the moment you remember to speak as the soul you truly are. Beloved, go now and live this truth. Speak no more as a beggar, but as a divine messenger of spirit. Command with love, decree with faith, and watch as heaven responds in ways more miraculous than you have ever imagined. I am going to challenge everything you think you know about prayer, manifestation, and spiritual power. The greatest enemy of your divine connection is not doubt, not sin, not lack of faith. It is one ordinary word that you learned in childhood and have been unconsciously using to push away every blessing trying to reach you. This word is so embedded in human speech that revealing its power will shock you. But once you eliminate it, you will experience spiritual breakthroughs beyond your wildest imagination. My dear friend, I have spent decades in direct communion with the Divine Mother. I have witnessed thousands of souls struggle needlessly with spiritual obstacles that dissolve the moment they understand this one simple truth. I have seen devoted seekers pray for years without results, only to experience miraculous breakthroughs within days of making this single change to their daily speech patterns. By eliminating one specific word from your vocabulary, you will remove the invisible barrier that has been blocking divine energy from flowing freely into every area of your life, your health, relationships, abundance, and spiritual growth. Through decades of divine communion and observing thousands of souls, I have seen this single word create more spiritual obstacles than all other negative practices combined. The ancient masters knew this secret, but it has been forgotten in our modern times. If you have been feeling spiritually blocked despite sincere practice and good intentions, if your prayers and affirmations seem to have no power or effect, if you keep experiencing repeated patterns of struggle and limitation, if you feel separated from divine grace and support, if you're frustrated with your lack of progress despite years of spiritual work, or if you feel like the universe is not responsive to your needs and desires, this teaching will transform everything. You may have tried positive thinking, visualization, affirmations, prayer, meditation, energy healing, and countless other spiritual practices, yet still feel like there's an invisible wall between you and the divine connection you seek. You may have wondered why some people seem to manifest their desires effortlessly while you struggle despite your sincere efforts. You may have questioned whether you're spiritually gifted enough, worthy enough, or pure enough to receive divine blessings. The answer is not that you lack spiritual capacity or divine favor. The answer is that you have been unconsciously using one word that creates energetic resistance to the very blessings you seek. This is not about positive thinking, willpower, or forced optimism. This isn't about avoiding negative words like hate or anger. This is about eliminating one specific word that creates energetic resistance to divine flow. Unlike other teachings that focus on what to add to your spiritual practice, more meditation, more prayer, more study, more techniques, I will show you what to remove. One simple word elimination that makes every other spiritual practice exponentially more powerful. This is perhaps the most practical spiritual teaching you will ever receive, yet its effects are profoundly mystical. You will experience immediate shifts in your energy, clarity in your prayers, responsiveness from the universe, and a direct connection to divine grace that you may have been seeking for years. More importantly, you will understand why your previous spiritual efforts may have felt blocked or ineffective, and how this one change can unlock the power that was always available to you. Let me share 3 extraordinary stories that will reveal the devastating power of this single word, beginning with a story that broke my heart, and then filled it with wonder at the power of divine grace when human obstacles are removed. There came to me a devoted mother named Kriya, whose 8-year-old son had been diagnosed with a serious illness that doctors said would require years of treatment with no guarantee of full recovery. This woman was one of the most sincere devotees I had ever met. She prayed for hours each day, maintained perfect ethical conduct, served the poor regularly, and lived with such purity that many considered her a saint. Priya had been raised in a spiritual family and had practiced meditation since childhood. She knew all the sacred texts by heart, could recite prayers in Sanskrit, and had devoted her entire adult life to spiritual development. Her home was a temple of peace where other devotees would come for inspiration and guidance. She radiated such love and devotion that children would naturally gravitate toward her, and adults would feel uplifted simply by being in her presence. Yet as she sat before me, weeping and desperate, I could see that despite all her spiritual practices, there was a wall between her and divine grace. Her prayers seemed to bounce off an invisible barrier rather than reaching the Divine Mother's heart. She told me she felt like God had abandoned her family in their greatest hour of need, and she couldn't understand why her decades of devotion seemed to count for nothing in this moment of crisis. Her son's illness had appeared suddenly and progressed rapidly. The best doctors in the country had examined him, and their diagnosis was devastating. A rare condition that would require intensive treatment for years, with only a 50% chance of full recovery. The medical bills were already overwhelming their family finances, and the emotional toll was destroying their peace and happiness. As Priya spoke about her son's condition, I began to notice something remarkable. Every few sentences, she would unconsciously use one particular word that made me wince internally, because I could see how it was creating energetic resistance to the very healing she was desperately seeking. With my spiritual sight, I could observe how each use of this word created a dark contraction in her aura, a closing down of her energy field that blocked the divine light trying to reach her. She would say things like, "I can't understand why this happened to my innocent child. I can't bear to watch him suffer like this. The doctors say he can't be cured completely. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can't think about anything else. I feel like I can't be a good mother when I can't protect him from this pain. I can't imagine how we'll get through the years of treatment ahead. I can't afford all the medical expenses we're going to face. I can't ask my husband to work more hours because he's already exhausted. I can't burden my parents with our problems because they're elderly." In just 5 minutes of conversation, Priya had unconsciously declared limitation, impossibility, and powerlessness 17 times using variations of one word, the word can't. With each declaration, I could see her spiritual energy becoming smaller, her connection to divine power becoming weaker, her faith in miraculous healing becoming more blocked. But this devoted mother's heart was so pure, her love for her child so fierce, that I knew if she could just remove this one obstacle, divine grace would flood through her prayers with tremendous power. I decided to give her a challenge that seemed almost too simple to work, but which I knew held the key to transforming her entire situation. I said to her, "My dear daughter, I want you to do something that may seem strange, but which I promise will change everything. For the next 7 days, I want you to eliminate completely one word from your vocabulary. Never say can't or cannot or impossible in any form. Instead, every time you would normally use that word, say something like, 'I am learning how to,' or 'I trust divine power to show me the way,' or 'I am open to miraculous possibilities.'" Priya looked at me with confusion and some frustration. Here was her child seriously ill, her family in crisis, her entire world falling apart, and I was asking her to change her speech patterns. She had come seeking powerful prayers, sacred mantras, perhaps some mystical ritual that could invoke divine intervention. Instead, I was giving her what seemed like a grammar lesson. "Master," she said, "surely there must be something more I can do. Some special prayer, some offering to the Divine Mother, some penance for whatever sins have brought this suffering to my innocent child. How can changing one word possibly help when we're facing such a serious situation?" But something in my eyes must have convinced her, because despite her confusion, she agreed to try this seemingly simple practice. I could see in her aura that her soul recognized the truth of what I was offering, even though her mind couldn't understand how something so basic could be so powerful. 7 days later, she returned to see me, and the transformation was so dramatic that I barely recognized her. Her entire energy field was glowing with divine light. Her eyes were bright with hope and faith. Her voice was strong and confident instead of weak and desperate. Before she even spoke, I could see that the invisible barrier between her and divine grace had completely dissolved. "Master," she said, "I don't understand what happened, but everything has changed. Not just my son's condition, though the doctors are amazed at his sudden improvement, but my whole spiritual life feels different. My prayers feel powerful again. I feel connected to God in a way I haven't experienced in years. When I meditate now, I can feel divine presence immediately, instead of struggling for hours just to quiet my mind." What was that word doing to my spiritual energy? I smiled and said, "My child, you have just learned one of the most important secrets of spiritual life. The word can't is a prayer in reverse. Every time you say it, you ask the universe to limit you, to block you, to separate you from divine possibility. When you eliminated that word, You removed the barrier that was preventing divine healing energy from flowing to your son. The most beautiful part of this story is what happened next. Within 2 weeks of Priya eliminating Chant from her vocabulary, her son's condition began improving so rapidly that doctors called it unprecedented. Within 2 months, he had recovered completely, something the specialists had said was virtually impossible given the severity of his condition. But the miracle went far beyond physical healing. Priya's entire family experienced a spiritual transformation. Her husband, who had been losing faith due to the crisis, rediscovered his connection to the divine. Her other children began showing remarkable spiritual gifts and wisdom. Their home became an even more powerful center of healing energy, and people would travel from distant cities just to experience the peace and divine presence that radiated from their family. Most importantly, Priya became a powerful spiritual healer herself, helping other parents whose children were facing health challenges. She would always begin by teaching them the same lesson I had taught her, to eliminate the word can't from their prayers and their daily speech. Over the years, she has witnessed dozens of miraculous healings that began with this simple change in speech patterns. This reveals the first law of how this word blocks divine energy. Every time you declare limitation, you create energetic resistance to the unlimited power that wants to help you. But this word doesn't just block external healing and manifestation, it blocks internal peace and spiritual growth in even more subtle ways. Let me tell you about a young man whose story shows how can't sabotages our deepest dreams and soul purposes, preventing us from fulfilling the very mission our souls came to earth to accomplish. His name was Arjun, a talented musician who had been struggling for 15 years to make a living from his art. This man had genuine musical gifts. He could compose beautiful melodies that moved people to tears, play multiple instruments with skill that amazed professional musicians, and had a voice that could transport listeners into states of divine ecstasy. Yet despite his talent and years of persistent effort, he lived in constant financial struggle, playing small venues for minimal pay, unable to break through to the success he dreamed of. Arjun came from a family of musicians. His grandfather had been a renowned classical performer, his father taught music at the local university, and his siblings all had successful careers in various musical fields. But somehow, despite having more natural talent than any of them, Arjun seemed cursed with failure and disappointment. When he came to me, he was on the verge of giving up music entirely. He was 33 years old, still living in a tiny apartment, still struggling to pay basic bills, still watching less talented musicians achieve the success that eluded him. He was exhausted from years of rejection, discouraged by what seemed like an impossible dream, ready to take a conventional job and abandon his soul's calling. He felt like the universe was conspiring against his musical success. Record labels would praise his talent but not offer contracts. Venues would love his performances but not book him for paying gigs. Audiences would be moved to tears by his music but not support him financially. It was as if there was an invisible force preventing his gifts from reaching the world in a way that could sustain his life. As he described his situation to me, I immediately heard the pattern that was sabotaging his every effort. Without realizing it, Arjun was constantly declaring limitation and impossibility around his musical dreams. He would say things like, "I can't seem to get anyone to listen to my music. I can't afford to promote myself properly. I can't compete with musicians who have more money and connections than I do. I can't understand why success seems so easy for others, but so impossible for me. I can't keep struggling like this much longer." Even worse, when he talked about his dreams and aspirations, he would unconsciously use this limiting language. "I'd love to record an album, but I can't afford a good studio. I dream of touring nationally, but I can't get bookings at decent venues. I write songs constantly, but I can't get record labels to take me seriously. I know I have something valuable to offer, but I can't seem to find the right opportunities." Every time Arjun said can't, he was literally programming the universe to make his dreams more difficult to achieve. He was unconsciously asking for limitation, struggle, and blocked opportunities. His own words were creating energetic barriers that prevented the success he desperately wanted from flowing into his life. What made this particularly tragic was that Arjun's music had the power to heal and inspire others. I could see in his soul records that he had incarnated specifically to serve as a bridge between earth and heaven through his musical gifts. His compositions contained frequencies that could open people's hearts, heal emotional wounds, and awaken dormant spiritual capacities. But his unconscious use of limiting language was blocking not just his personal success, but his ability to serve his higher purpose. I gave Arjun the same challenge I had given Priya. Eliminate the word can't completely for just 1 week and replace it with language that opens possibilities rather than closes them. Instead of I can't afford studio time, I taught him to say, I am open to divine provision for recording my music. Instead of I can't get good bookings, he learned to say, I trust that perfect opportunities are being prepared for me. Initially, Arjun was skeptical. Like many artistic people, he had a romantic attachment to struggle and suffering, believing that financial difficulty somehow proved the purity of his artistic vision. He worried that changing his language might make him less authentic or spiritually pure as an artist. But his desperation finally overcame his resistance, and he committed to the practice with surprising dedication. What happened next amazed even me with its speed and completeness. The transformation in Arjun's career was nothing short of miraculous. Within 1 month of changing his speech patterns, he received an unexpected call from a successful musician who had heard one of his demo recordings at a small cafe and wanted to collaborate. This musician had connections throughout the industry and immediately recognized Arjun's exceptional gifts. Within 3 months, he had signed with a small but reputable record label that specialized in spiritually oriented music. The label owner told him that she had been looking for exactly the kind of artist he was for over 2 years. Within 6 months, he was touring regionally and earning more from music than he had in the previous 5 years combined. But the most remarkable change was in Arjun's energy and confidence. By eliminating can't from his vocabulary, he had stopped unconsciously sabotaging his own success. His prayers became powerful manifestation tools instead of unconscious declarations of limitation. His conversations with industry professionals became magnetic rather than repelling, because he was no longer energetically broadcasting impossibility and struggle. His music itself became more powerful and healing. Audiences began reporting profound spiritual experiences during his concerts. People would approach him after performances to share how his songs had helped them through difficult times, healed their relationships, or awakened their own spiritual gifts. Today, Arjun is a successful recording artist who tours internationally, but more importantly, he has become a powerful spiritual teacher who uses music as a vehicle for awakening consciousness. He teaches other struggling artists the same principle that transformed his life, that our words create our reality, and the word can't is the enemy of every dream. He has established a foundation that helps talented but struggling artists learn to eliminate limiting language and align their speech patterns with their highest aspirations. Dozens of musicians have found success through his program, not by learning new techniques or strategies, but by removing the unconscious verbal barriers that were blocking their gifts from reaching the world. But this word doesn't just block external manifestation, it blocks internal peace and our connection to the divine in ways that can leave even financially successful people feeling spiritually empty and disconnected from the source of all happiness. Let me share the story of a wealthy businessman named Vikram who discovered that can't was preventing him from experiencing the divine communion he longed for more than any material success. This man's story shows how this word can create spiritual poverty even in the midst of material abundance. Vikram had built a business empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He owned multiple companies that employed thousands of people, had real estate investments on 3 continents, and had achieved every material goal he had ever set. His success was legendary in business circles. Magazines wrote articles about his strategies, universities invited him to lecture, and younger entrepreneurs sought his mentorship. Yet he came to me feeling spiritually bankrupt, disconnected from God, and empty despite all his worldly accomplishments. Despite having more money than he could spend in several lifetimes, despite being respected and admired by millions of people, despite having achieved everything that society considers success, Vikram felt like the most impoverished person on earth. He told me that he would lie awake at night in his luxurious mansion, surrounded by every comfort money could buy, feeling utterly alone and purposeless. He had everything he had thought would make him happy, yet he experienced a deep, aching emptiness that no amount of achievement or acquisition could fill. Vikram had been attempting to develop a spiritual life for several years. He meditated daily in a beautiful shrine room he had built in his home. He attended spiritual gatherings and retreats at exclusive centers around the world. He read sacred texts from every tradition and studied with renowned teachers. He even made generous donations to spiritual causes, funding temples and ashrams with millions of dollars. But he felt like he was going through the motions without any real connection to divine presence. His prayers seemed to echo in empty space, never reaching beyond the ceiling of his meditation room. His meditations were filled with mental noise and restlessness. The same thoughts about business deals, financial planning, and strategic decisions that occupied his mind throughout the day. He felt like there was an invisible wall between him and the peace and joy that other devotees described. He would attend satsangs and listen to people share their experiences of divine love, inner bliss, and spiritual fulfillment, wondering what was wrong with him that he couldn't access these states despite his sincere efforts and generous financial support of spiritual activities. As I listened to Vikram describe his spiritual struggles, I heard immediately what was creating this wall. His prayers and his descriptions of his spiritual life were filled with unconscious declarations of limitation and impossibility. He would say things like, "I can't quiet my mind during meditation. I can't feel God's presence no matter how hard I try. I can't understand why other people seem to have such easy access to spiritual experiences while I can't break through this barrier. I can't find time for proper spiritual practice because I can't delegate all my business responsibilities." Even in his prayers, Vikram was unconsciously using limiting language. "God, I can't handle the stress of my responsibilities alone. I can't find peace in this busy world. I can't seem to surrender my worries and anxieties to you. I can't stop my mind from thinking about business, even when I'm trying to commune with you." Every time he said can't, Vikram was inadvertently declaring his separation from divine power, his inability to experience spiritual states, his powerlessness to transform his consciousness. His own words were creating the very barriers to spiritual experience that frustrated him so deeply. What made this particularly ironic was that Vikram's business success had come from exactly the opposite mindset. In business, he never accepted can't as an answer. When advisors told him a deal was impossible, he found a way to make it happen. When experts said a market couldn't be penetrated, he developed strategies to dominate it. When economists said certain economic conditions made success impossible, he thrived anyway. But in his spiritual life, he had unconsciously adopted the language of limitation and impossibility. The same mental patterns that would have destroyed his business success were sabotaging his spiritual development. Initially, Vikram resisted my teaching about eliminating can't from his vocabulary. It seemed too simple, too basic for someone of his intelligence and accomplishment. He wanted advanced spiritual techniques, sophisticated meditation practices, complex philosophical teachings. The idea that changing one word could transform his entire spiritual life seemed almost insulting to his sophisticated understanding. He had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars learning from famous gurus, attending exclusive retreats, and studying rare spiritual texts. The suggestion that his problem could be solved by something as simple as changing his speech patterns challenged his belief that spiritual development required complex, expensive, or exotic methods. But his desperation finally overcame his resistance. He was tired of feeling spiritually empty despite all his material success. He was exhausted from seeking spiritual fulfillment through increasingly elaborate and expensive methods. He agreed to try the practice for 30 days, though he was skeptical that such a simple change could have any real effect on his deep spiritual struggles. The results were so profound that they shocked even me. Within the first week, Vikram began experiencing deeper states in meditation than he had achieved in years of practice with renowned teachers. His mind, which had been chronically restless and agitated, began to settle into natural peace and stillness. Within 2 weeks, he felt the presence of divine love during his prayers for the first time in his life. He described it as feeling embraced by an infinite, unconditional love that made all his business achievements seem insignificant by comparison. He would spend hours in his meditation room, not because he was forcing himself to practice, but because he couldn't bear to leave the divine presence he was experiencing there. Within a month, he was regularly experiencing the peace, joy, and divine communion that he had been seeking for so long. His entire approach to business changed as he began operating from a place of inner peace and divine guidance, rather than stress and ego-driven ambition. The transformation happened because eliminating can't removed the energetic resistance that had been preventing divine grace from flowing freely through his consciousness. Instead of declaring his inability to experience God, he began affirming his openness to divine presence. Instead of stating his powerlessness to find peace, he began declaring his willingness to receive divine tranquility. Remarkably, Vikram's business success actually increased as his spiritual life deepened, because he was no longer operating from stress and desperation, but from a place of inner peace and divine guidance. He began to see his business activities as opportunities to serve others and express divine love through practical action. He became known not just for his business acumen, but for his wisdom and spiritual insight, helping other successful people find the same inner fulfillment that had transformed his life. He established foundations that combined practical assistance with spiritual education, helping people develop both material success and spiritual fulfillment. Today, Vikram is considered one of the most spiritually evolved business people in the world, demonstrating that material success and spiritual realization are not only compatible but mutually supportive when approached with the right understanding. Now you're ready to understand the complete spiritual science behind why this one word has such devastating power over our spiritual lives, and how eliminating it can create miraculous transformations in every area of human experience. The word I have been referring to throughout these stories is can't in all its variations: cannot, impossible, unable, and any other declaration of limitation or impossibility. This word creates energetic resistance to divine possibility in ways that most people never recognize or understand, yet its effects are more powerful than any other single factor in determining the quality of our spiritual and material lives. When you say can't, you are making a powerful declaration to the universe about what you believe is possible in your life. You are literally praying for limitation rather than expansion. You are asking the divine intelligence that orchestrates all of creation to restrict the flow of blessings, opportunities, and miracles into your experience. But we must understand this principle deeply, not just intellectually. The universe operates according to precise spiritual laws that are as consistent and reliable as physical laws like gravity. One of the most fundamental spiritual laws is that consciousness creates reality through focused attention and declaration. Your words are not just sounds you make with your mouth. They are creative forces that literally shape your experience of life. The universe is built on infinite possibility. Divine energy is unlimited creative power that can manifest anything in accordance with divine will and love. Every moment, countless opportunities, blessings, and solutions are trying to reach you. Divine intelligence is constantly orchestrating synchronicities, opening doors, and preparing pathways for your highest good. When you declare can't, you create a vibration of limitation that contradicts the very nature of divine energy. You become like a radio trying to tune into a frequency of infinite possibility while broadcasting a signal of finite impossibility. The divine blessings are still there, but you have made yourself unable to receive them. But we must understand the crucial difference between practical limitations and spiritual declarations. This teaching is not about denying physical reality or pretending that natural laws don't exist. If you are human, you cannot fly by flapping your arms. This is a practical, physical limitation based on the laws of aerodynamics and the structure of the human body. But when you say, I can't heal from this illness, I can't find love, I can't achieve my dreams, I can't experience God's presence, or I can't create abundance in my life, you are making spiritual declarations that have nothing to do with practical limitations and everything to do with energetic resistance to divine possibilities. There is a profound difference between saying, this situation is challenging and I need divine guidance, versus I can't handle this situation. The first statement acknowledges difficulty while remaining open to divine assistance. The second statement declares powerlessness and closes the door to miraculous intervention. The first statement invites divine intelligence to show you solutions, provide strength, and orchestrate circumstances for your highest good. The second statement instructs the universe to confirm your inability to receive help, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of struggle and limitation. The subconscious mind and the universe respond to your declarations as instructions for what to create in your experience. Your subconscious mind is like a faithful servant that never questions your commands, but works tirelessly to make your declarations become reality. When you consistently say can't, you are consistently instructing this powerful creative mechanism to manifest limitation, struggle, and block possibilities in your life. Let me give you some examples from daily speech patterns that people don't recognize as spiritually destructive, yet which create enormous barriers to blessing and abundance. When you say, "I can't afford that," you are declaring permanent financial limitation rather than acknowledging temporary cash flow challenges. The universe hears this as an instruction to maintain scarcity in your life. Instead, you could say, "This is currently outside my budget, but I am open to divine provision," or "I am learning to create more abundance to afford the things I value." When you say, "I can't change," you are declaring permanent stuckness rather than acknowledging temporary learning curves. This instruction causes the universe to reinforce your current patterns and resist transformation. Instead, you could say, "I am learning to change," or "I am open to divine transformation." When you say, "I can't forgive," you are declaring permanent resentment rather than acknowledging the process of emotional healing. This keeps you energetically bound to past hurts and blocks the flow of love in your life. Instead, you could say, "I am learning to forgive," or "I am willing to forgive." When you say, "I can't find love," you are instructing the universe to hide love from you rather than bring it to you. Instead, you could say, "I am becoming ready to receive love," or "I am open to attracting my perfect partner." Each of these declarations programs your subconscious mind to look for evidence that supports limitation rather than possibility. Your mind begins to filter reality through the lens of can't, causing you to overlook opportunities, dismiss solutions, and resist the very help that could transform your situation. This is why people often experience the same problems repeatedly, even when they sincerely want change. They are unconsciously programming themselves for limitation while consciously hoping for expansion. The unconscious programming is more consistent and frequent, making it more powerful in shaping reality. Sound and vibration affect consciousness and reality in ways that modern science is only beginning to understand, but which the ancient masters knew intimately. Every word you speak creates vibrational patterns that influence both your internal state and your external circumstances. Words are not just communication tools. They are creative forces that shape reality through their energetic impact. The ancient Sanskrit texts speak of the concept of Vak Shakti, the power of speech to create reality. In the Vedic understanding, the universe itself was created through divine sound, and human speech participates in this same creative power. Every word you speak either aligns you with the creative force of the universe or creates resistance to it. The word can't creates a particularly destructive vibration because it directly contradicts the infinite nature of divine power. Divine energy is unlimited creative potential that can manifest healing where doctors see no hope, abundance where economists see scarcity, love where psychologists see impossibility, and peace where experts see only conflict. When you say can't, you are essentially arguing with divine omnipotence, declaring that some situations are beyond the power of infinite love and wisdom. You are placing yourself in opposition to the very force that could transform your life in miraculous ways. This word blocks the natural flow of abundance and possibility by creating what I call energetic dams in your consciousness. Just as a physical dam blocks the natural flow of a river, creating stagnation upstream and drought downstream, declarations of can't block the natural flow of divine grace into your life. The blessings are still there. The opportunities are still available. The healing energy is still present, but your limiting declarations create barriers that prevent you from receiving what is already yours by divine right. You become like a person dying of thirst while standing next to a flowing river, unable to drink because you have convinced yourself that the water cannot quench your thirst. The energy pattern that can't creates in your aura and chakra system is one of constriction, contraction, and closure. I have observed this with spiritual sight in thousands of people, and the effect is always the same. When someone habitually uses limiting language, their energy field literally becomes smaller and denser, creating a barrier around them that repels higher vibrational experiences. This constricted energy field makes it difficult for experiences like peace, joy, love, abundance, and spiritual connection to penetrate your consciousness. It's as if you are wearing energetic armor that protects you from receiving the very blessings you most desire. The sacred texts of every tradition speak to the creative power of speech and the importance of using words that align with divine truth. In the Christian Bible, we read that life and death are in the power of the tongue, and that by our words we will be justified or condemned. In the Vedic traditions, the concept of mantra recognizes that specific sounds can transform consciousness and reality when used with proper understanding and intention. The Islamic tradition teaches that every word is recorded and that we will be accountable for our speech. The Buddhist teachings emphasize right speech as an essential component of the Noble Eightfold Path. All genuine spiritual teachings emphasize that our words should reflect and invoke divine possibility rather than human limitation. Now, let me show you the hidden ways that this word destroys spiritual power in specific areas of life, often in ways so subtle that even sincere spiritual seekers don't recognize the damage they're creating through unconscious speech patterns. In prayer, the difference between saying, "God, I can't handle this situation," and "God, I need your strength and guidance," for this situation is the difference between asking for powerlessness and asking for divine assistance. The first prayer actually pushes away the help you're seeking by declaring your inability to receive it. The second prayer opens you to receive divine support by acknowledging your willingness to be helped. When you pray, "I can't forgive this person," you are asking God to confirm your inability to experience divine love and mercy. When you pray, "Please help me learn to forgive," you are asking God to teach you one of the highest spiritual virtues. The same divine energy responds to both prayers, but your words determine whether you receive limitation or liberation. Many people unknowingly sabotage their prayer life by mixing requests for help with declarations of inability to receive help. They might pray for healing while saying, "I can't get better." They might pray for abundance while declaring, "I can't afford to trust God for provision." They might pray for peace while stating, "I can't stop worrying about this situation." In affirmations and positive declarations, the word "can't" is particularly destructive because it directly cancels the positive intention you're trying to create. Affirmations work by programming the subconscious mind with positive possibilities, but limiting language immediately deprograms the positive input. If you affirm, "I am prosperous and abundant," but then say, "I can't afford to take risks with my money," you have just canceled your abundance affirmation with a declaration of financial limitation. If you affirm, "I am healthy and vital," but then say, "I can't exercise because of my condition," you undermine your healing affirmation. Many people unknowingly sabotage their affirmation practice by mixing positive declarations with limiting language throughout the day. They might spend 10 minutes affirming health and vitality, then spend the rest of the day saying, "I can't eat that food, I can't do that exercise, I can't heal from this condition." The limiting declarations are often more frequent and emotionally charged than the positive ones, making them more powerful in shaping reality. In goal setting and manifestation work, can't sabotages your dreams before they even have a chance to manifest. When you set a goal but immediately follow it with thoughts like, "I can't achieve this because I don't have enough money, time, connections, or talent," you energetically cancel the manifestation process before it begins. The universe responds to your dominant mental and verbal patterns, not just your occasional positive intentions. If your goal-setting sessions are filled with excitement and possibility, but your daily conversations are filled with declarations of limitation, the limitations will win because they are more consistent and frequent. This is why many people find that visualization and goal-setting techniques don't work for them. They are unconsciously canceling their positive intentions with negative declarations, creating internal conflict that prevents manifestation. In relationships, can't creates barriers to love, intimacy, and connection. When you say, "I can't trust anyone," "I can't find someone who understands me," or "I can't open my heart again after being hurt," you are literally programming yourself to remain lonely and isolated. These declarations cause you to unconsciously push away the very people who could love and support you. Your energy field broadcasts the message that connection is impossible, causing others to sense this resistance and respond accordingly. You become like a person longing for friendship while wearing a sign that says, "No friends wanted." In healing work, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, can't is one of the most destructive forces you can introduce. When you say, "I can't heal from this condition," "I can't overcome this addiction," or "I can't release this trauma," you are instructing your subconscious mind and the universe to maintain the very problems you want to resolve. The body's natural restoration abilities are tremendously influenced by your beliefs and declarations about healing. Modern medicine is beginning to recognize the power of the placebo effect, the ability of positive expectations to create actual physiological changes. But the reverse is also true. Negative expectations and limiting declarations can create what researchers call the nocebo effect, where negative beliefs actually worsen physical conditions. When you consistently declare healing impossible, you create internal resistance to the therapeutic treatments, lifestyle changes, and divine interventions that could restore your health. Your own words become obstacles to the natural healing intelligence that is always working to restore balance and vitality to your system. I have witnessed countless cases where people with identical diagnoses experience completely different outcomes based solely on their speech patterns and mental declarations. Those who eliminated limiting language from their healing journey consistently experience better results, faster recovery times, and more complete restoration than those who maintain patterns of declaring impossibility. In abundance and prosperity, Chant repels money, opportunities, and resources with remarkable efficiency. Phrases like, "I can't afford this," "I can't make enough money," "I can't start a business," or "I can't invest in myself," create energetic barriers that prevent financial improvement more effectively than any external economic condition. The universe has infinite resources and countless ways to provide for your needs and desires. Divine intelligence is constantly orchestrating opportunities, opening doors, and preparing pathways for abundance to reach you. But when you declare financial impossibility, you close yourself off from receiving the creative solutions, unexpected opportunities, and divine provisions that could transform your financial situation. I have observed that people who eliminate can't from their financial vocabulary often experience what seems like miraculous improvements in their economic circumstances. Opportunities appear that they never could have planned or predicted. Resources become available through channels they never expected. Their own creativity and problem-solving abilities expand dramatically when they stop declaring limitation and start affirming possibility. In spiritual development and meditation practice, Chant creates the most subtle yet devastating blocks to divine connection. When you say, "I can't quiet my mind," "I can't feel God's presence," or "I can't achieve the spiritual states I read about," you create resistance to the very experiences you seek most deeply. Spiritual experiences are delicate flowers that bloom only in the soil of openness and possibility. When you declare them impossible, you create internal turbulence that prevents the natural settling of consciousness into divine awareness. You become like a person trying to see the bottom of a pond while continuously stirring up the water. The most advanced spiritual practices become ineffective when approached with limiting declarations. The most powerful mantras lose their potency when preceded by thoughts of, "I can't experience their true effects." The most sacred techniques fail to produce results when practiced with the underlying belief that, "I can't achieve what the great masters achieved." Now I will show you exactly how to eliminate this word and replace it with divine power through a complete transformation system that can revolutionize every aspect of your spiritual and material life. This system has been tested and refined through decades of working with thousands of souls, and its effectiveness never fails to amaze me. The first step is developing awareness and learning to catch yourself before you use limiting language. This requires conscious attention to your speech patterns, because Chant is so deeply embedded in normal conversation that most people use it dozens of times per day without conscious awareness. Begin each morning with a commitment to notice every time you are about to say can't or any variation of this word. Make this intention as important as your commitment to meditation, prayer, or any other spiritual practice. Set a clear determination that today you will speak only the language of divine possibility. Create a physical trigger that alerts you when limiting language is about to emerge from your mouth. Some people find it helpful to touch their heart, take a conscious breath, or pause for just a moment before speaking when they sense can't forming in their thoughts. This brief pause creates space for you to choose divine language instead of unconscious limitation. Practice the sacred pause before responding to challenging situations. When someone asks you to do something difficult, when you encounter an obstacle, when you feel overwhelmed or frustrated, pause for just a moment before speaking. In that pause, choose language that opens possibilities rather than declares limitations. This pause is not just a practical technique. It is a moment of communion with divine intelligence, allowing higher wisdom to guide your words instead of reactive patterns. In that brief silence, you can access the unlimited creative power of the universe and speak from that higher perspective. When you catch yourself using can't, and you will, especially in the beginning, immediately correct yourself with divine language. Don't judge yourself harshly for the old habit, but don't let the limiting declaration stand uncorrected either. Simply say something like, "Let me rephrase that with more possibility," and then restate your thought using expansive language. This correction process is actually a powerful spiritual practice in itself. Each time you catch and correct limiting language, you strengthen your awareness and commitment to divine speech. You also immediately neutralize the negative declaration and replace it with positive possibility. Consider creating accountability systems with family members or friends who are also committed to eliminating limiting language. Ask them to gently point out when you use can't and offer to do the same for them. Support each other in developing new speech patterns that reflect divine possibility rather than human limitation. Make this a family practice if you have children, teaching them from an early age to speak the language of possibility rather than limitation. Children who grow up without can't in their vocabulary develop natural confidence, creativity, and expectation of success that serves them throughout their lives. The second step involves learning divine replacement language that opens you to receive miraculous solutions instead of declaring them impossible. This is not about lying to yourself or denying real challenges, but about speaking in ways that invite divine assistance rather than pushing it away. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," learn to say, "I am learning how to do this," or "I am open to divine guidance in this situation." This acknowledges the challenge while remaining receptive to help and solutions. It transforms you from a victim of circumstances into a student of divine wisdom. Instead of "I can't afford this," try "I am open to divine provision for this," or "I trust that if this is meant for me, the resources will be provided." This recognizes current financial limitations while staying open to unexpected abundance. It changes your relationship with money from scarcity to divine supply. Instead of "I can't heal from this condition," say "I invite divine healing energy to work through me," or "I am open to miraculous restoration." This acknowledges health challenges while affirming the possibility of divine intervention. It transforms you from a helpless victim of illness into an active participant in divine healing. Instead of "I can't forgive this person," try "I am learning to forgive with divine help," or "I am willing to be willing to forgive." This recognizes emotional difficulty while opening to spiritual grace. It changes forgiveness from an impossible demand into a gradual spiritual process supported by divine love. Instead of "I can't change," say "I am being transformed by divine power," or "I trust my ability to grow and evolve." This acknowledges current patterns while affirming the possibility of spiritual development. It transforms you from a fixed entity into a dynamic expression of divine creativity. Instead of "I can't find time," say "I am learning to prioritize what matters most," or "I trust divine intelligence to help me manage my time wisely." This acknowledges busy schedules while opening to divine guidance about priorities, efficiency. Instead of "I can't understand why this happened," say "I trust that divine wisdom is working through this situation," or "I am open to learning what this experience wants to teach me." This acknowledges confusion while maintaining faith in divine purpose, meaning, learn to create prayer formulas using only expansive, divine language. Instead of asking God to help you with what you can't do, ask God to show you how to do what seems difficult. Instead of declaring your inability to handle situations, affirm your willingness to receive divine strength and wisdom. Transform your prayers from complaints about limitations into requests for divine empowerment. Instead of "God, I can't take this anymore," pray "God, please give me the strength and wisdom to handle this situation with grace." Instead of "I can't see how this will work out," pray "I trust your perfect timing and solution for this situation." Practice affirmations that specifically counter your most common can't declarations. If you often say "I can't succeed in business," create daily affirmations like "I am divinely guided in all my business endeavors," or "Divine intelligence expresses through me in all my professional activities." The third step is committing to the 40-day transformation challenge, because 40 days is the spiritual time frame required for deep habit transformation and the establishment of new neural pathways in the brain. This period appears throughout spiritual traditions as the time needed for significant internal change. Each morning for 40 days, make a conscious commitment to speak only the language of divine possibility. This doesn't mean being unrealistic about challenges, but it means choosing words that invite solutions rather than reinforce problems. Begin each day with a prayer or affirmation of your commitment to divine speech. Create a morning ritual where you consciously dedicate your speech to serving divine truth. You might say something like, "Today I consecrate my words to expressing divine possibility. I choose to speak only language that opens doors, invites miracles, and reflects the unlimited nature of divine love. May every word I speak today serve the highest good." Each evening, spend several minutes reviewing your day and noticing how you spoke about challenges, goals, and spiritual aspirations. This is not a time for harsh self-judgment, but for gentle observation and learning. Notice patterns in when you're most likely to slip into limiting language. Are you more vulnerable when tired, stressed, or around certain people? Forgive yourself with compassion for any unconscious use of limiting language, but also acknowledge and celebrate the moments when you successfully chose expansive words. Every moment you choose possibility over limitation is a victory worth recognizing and appreciating. Keep a simple journal tracking the changes you notice as you eliminate can't from your vocabulary. Pay attention to shifts in your energy levels, improvements in your circumstances, increased responsiveness from the universe, and changes in how other people interact with you. Document synchronicities, opportunities, and unexpected solutions that appear as you practice divine speech. Don't be surprised if you encounter resistance from your old mental habits, or even from people around you who are accustomed to complaint-based conversations. Changing your speech patterns often triggers changes in your relationships and circumstances as you begin vibrating at a higher frequency. Some people may find your new language patterns strange or even annoying, especially if they are attached to bonding through mutual complaints and limitations. Stay compassionate but firm in your commitment to divine speech, recognizing that your example may eventually inspire others to examine their own speech patterns. Build a permanent foundation of divine declaration by making this practice a lifelong spiritual discipline rather than a temporary experiment. The benefits of eliminating can't from your vocabulary compound over time, creating increasingly powerful manifestation abilities and spiritual connection. Consider this practice as important as any other spiritual discipline. Just as you wouldn't skip daily meditation or prayer, make conscious speech patterns a non-negotiable part of your spiritual practice. The words you speak every day have more impact on your consciousness than occasional formal spiritual practices. Teach this principle to others, especially children and young people who haven't yet formed deep habits of limiting language. Share your experience and transformation with friends and family members who are open to spiritual growth. Your example of eliminating can't may provide exactly the inspiration someone else needs to break through their own barriers. Create environments that support divine speech. Surround yourself with people, books, music, and media that reinforce possibility rather than limitation. Notice how different environments either encourage or discourage limiting language, and choose to spend more time in spaces that support your commitment to divine speech. Practice this principle in all areas of life: personal relationships, professional activities, health and healing, financial decisions, and spiritual development. Let the elimination of can't become a comprehensive lifestyle change rather than just a technique you use in certain situations. Most importantly, remember that this practice is not about perfection, but about direction. Every moment you choose expansive language over limiting declarations, you align yourself more fully with divine truth and open yourself to receive more of the infinite blessings that are always available to you. My beloved friend, you now understand one of the most powerful secrets of spiritual transformation. The word can't is a prayer asking the universe to limit you, block you, and separate you from divine possibility. Every time you eliminate this word and replace it with divine language, you open another channel for grace to flow into your life. God is unlimited possibility. Divine energy is infinite potential. When you speak the language of limitation, you create resistance to the very force that wants to bless you beyond measure. When you speak the language of divine possibility, you become a clear channel for miracles. The transformation that occurs when you eliminate can't from your life is not just about changing your words, it's about aligning your consciousness with the infinite nature of divine love. It's about recognizing that you are not a limited human being struggling against impossible odds, but a divine soul temporarily wearing a human form, with access to unlimited creative power. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to practice divine speech. Every obstacle is a chance to declare possibility instead of limitation. Every moment of difficulty is an invitation to align your words with divine truth rather than human fear. When you consistently speak the language of possibility, you train your consciousness to look for solutions instead of problems, opportunities instead of obstacles, blessings instead of burdens. You become a magnet for miracles because your speech patterns align you with the miraculous nature of divine intelligence. This practice will transform not only your own life, but also the lives of everyone around you. When you stop declaring limitations, you give others permission to expand beyond their own self-imposed barriers. When you speak possibility into existence, you help create a world where more miracles can manifest. Every time you choose expansive language over limiting declarations, you are choosing to cooperate with divine will rather than resist it. You are choosing to be a conduit for miracles rather than a barrier to them. You are choosing to represent the unlimited nature of God rather than the limited perspectives of human fear. Your words are sacred tools of creation. Use them to build bridges instead of walls, to open doors instead of closing them, to invite blessings instead of repelling them. Let your speech become a constant prayer of possibility, a continuous affirmation of divine potential, an ongoing declaration of faith in infinite love. Remember that the universe is always listening to your words and responding to your declarations. Choose to speak as a representative of divine possibility. Let every sentence you utter reflect the truth that with God all things are possible. Make your voice a channel for the unlimited creative power that wants to express through you. From this moment forward, I speak only the language of divine possibility. I eliminate can't from my vocabulary and my consciousness. I replace limitation with divine potential, impossibility with sacred possibility, resistance with flow. I am a divine being living in an unlimited universe, and my speech reflects this truth. Through divine power, all things are possible, and I declare this truth with every word I speak. If this teaching has awakened you to the power of your words, and you're ready to eliminate can't from your life forever, please subscribe to receive more transformational wisdom that can revolutionize your spiritual practice. Like this video if you're committed to taking the 40-day challenge and speaking only divine language. And please, comment below with your commitment. Write, "I eliminate can't from my life," and share how you're already noticing this word in your daily speech. Your declaration will inspire others and strengthen your own commitment to this life-changing practice. Share specific examples of how you've been using limiting language and how you plan to transform those patterns into divine possibilities. Tell us about the areas of your life where can't has been most destructive. Your relationships, your health, your finances, your spiritual growth, your creative expression. Your honesty will help others recognize similar patterns in their own lives and encourage them to make the same transformation. Remember, through divine power working through you, all things are possible when you speak the language of unlimited love. Your words are prayers, your declarations are creative forces, and your speech patterns determine the quality of your entire life experience. Choose to speak as the divine being you truly are, and watch as your world transforms to reflect the unlimited possibilities of divine love. The pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know this, but your grandmother's simple remedies hold more healing power than most modern medicines. Garlic and jaggery together create a sacred partnership that purifies your blood, sharpens your mind, and opens channels of energy that transform everything. In 10 days, you'll understand what the ancients meant by food as medicine. My dear friend, by the end of this sacred journey together, you will possess ancient wisdom that transforms your physical vitality, mental clarity, and spiritual awareness using 2 ingredients that cost less than your morning coffee. I know you may be struggling with chronic fatigue that steals life's joy, or mental fog that clouds your decision-making and creativity. Perhaps digestive issues create discomfort and dis-ease in your daily life, or frequent illness disrupts life's natural flow. Maybe stress and anxiety block your inner peace, leaving you feeling disconnected from your body's natural wisdom. For over 4 decades, I have studied both ancient Ayurvedic texts and modern nutritional science. I have guided thousands of students toward radiant health using principles that are thousands of years old, yet more relevant today than ever. This is not theory, my beloved friend. This is tested wisdom that has transformed lives across continents and centuries. While others sell you complicated systems and expensive supplements, I offer you Divine Mother's own pharmacy. Simple, natural, powerful. This isn't just about physical health. It's about awakening the dormant healing intelligence within your own body. My dear one, you were born to experience vibrant health and joyful energy. Your body is a temple of the divine, and it deserves to be treated with the reverence and wisdom of the ages. Let us honor it together. I want to tell you about Dr. Harrison, a Western-trained physician who came to me in 1948. He had spent 15 years ridiculing traditional remedies, calling them primitive superstitions. His medical training had convinced him that only laboratory-created compounds could truly heal the human body. But Dr. Harrison himself was suffering. Despite all his medical knowledge, he battled constant fatigue, poor digestion, and a mind that felt clouded with confusion. When I suggested he try eating garlic with jaggery each morning for 10 days, he actually laughed out loud. He said, "Yogananda, with all due respect, I didn't spend 8 years in medical school to eat kitchen spices as medicine." But his suffering was real, and his wife was worried. Finally, his desperation overcame his skepticism. 10 days later, Dr. Harrison returned to see me, but this time his eyes were bright and clear. His step had a spring I had never seen before. He sat down and said something I will never forget. "Yogananda, in all my years of medical practice, I have never experienced such profound changes in my body from anything, let alone 2 simple ingredients from my kitchen. My energy has returned, my mind is sharp, and for the first time in years, I feel truly alive." But the most beautiful part of his transformation was not physical. Dr. Harrison began to understand that healing is not about fighting the body, but about supporting its natural intelligence. He started incorporating traditional wisdom into his medical practice, and his patients began experiencing miraculous recoveries. Years later, he told me that those 10 days of eating garlic and jaggery didn't just heal his body, they opened his heart to a completely new way of understanding medicine. But why does this simple combination work such miracles? Let me share with you an ancient story that reveals the secret. In the marketplaces of Old Delhi, there lived a spice merchant named Ravi who traveled the Silk Road buying and selling precious herbs and spices. Ravi was a practical man who cared little for the mystical claims surrounding his goods. To him, cinnamon was cinnamon, turmeric was turmeric, and garlic was simply something that made food taste stronger. One season, during a particularly difficult journey through the mountains, several members of his trading caravan fell seriously ill. They were hundreds of miles from the nearest city, with no physicians and no medicines. The local villagers they encountered were too poor to help, and Ravi watched helplessly as his companions grew weaker each day. An old village woman approached Ravi one evening as he sat by his dying fire, worry etched across his face. She carried a small cloth bundle and spoke in broken Hindi mixed with her local dialect. Through gestures and simple words, she showed him what was in the bundle: ordinary garlic cloves and dark, sticky jaggery. She indicated that he should have his sick companions eat this combination each morning. Ravi was desperate. His rational mind told him this was foolishness, but his heart knew he had no other options. He prepared the garlic and jaggery as the old woman had shown him, crushing the garlic and mixing it with small pieces of the sweet jaggery. Each morning, he convinced his ailing companions to eat this mixture, despite their complaints about the strong taste. Within 3 days, the fever began to break. Within a week, strength returned to their limbs. Within 10 days, the entire caravan was not only healthy but more energetic than they had been at the start of their journey. Ravi was amazed, but the old woman just smiled knowingly. Through an interpreter in the next village, she told him something that changed his entire understanding of the natural world. "Young man, the Divine Mother provides everything we need for healing. We just need the wisdom to see it and the faith to use it." Ravi returned to Delhi, transformed. He began studying the ancient texts about food as medicine, learning from elderly healers and wise women who had preserved this knowledge for generations. Eventually, he became known throughout India not just as a merchant, but as a healer who understood the sacred partnership between simple foods and profound healing. The ancients understood something we are just rediscovering. They knew that certain combinations of natural foods create what they called divine alchemy, a transformation that is greater than the sum of its parts. I must share something personal with you, my dear friend. Despite my years of spiritual practice and study of ancient wisdom, I too was initially skeptical when my own teacher first mentioned this combination of garlic and jaggery. You see, even those of us who dedicate our lives to understanding divine principles can sometimes overlook the simplest truths. It was during a particularly challenging period in my teaching work. I was traveling constantly, speaking to large groups, and counseling individuals late into the evening. My body was exhausted, my digestion was poor, and I found it increasingly difficult to maintain the deep meditative states that had always been my source of strength and guidance. My teacher observed my condition and suggested I begin each day with crushed garlic mixed with jaggery. I confess, even I thought this seemed too simple to address what felt like complex problems. But my respect for my teacher's wisdom overcame my intellectual doubts. The changes began subtly. On the third day, I noticed that my morning meditations felt clearer, more focused. By the seventh day, my energy remained steady throughout even the longest teaching sessions. By the 10th day, I realized something profound had shifted not just in my physical body, but in my entire relationship with healing and health. What surprised me most was how this simple practice enhanced my spiritual sensitivity. The clarity that came to my mind during meditation deepened significantly. I could feel the life force, the prana, flowing more freely through my body. My connection with the divine presence became more consistent and profound. This experience taught me that physical health and spiritual awareness are not separate things. When we heal the body with wisdom and reverence, we create conditions for the soul to express itself more fully. The garlic and jaggery didn't just heal my physical symptoms. They removed obstacles that had been blocking my spiritual growth without my even realizing it. From that day forward, I understood why the ancient rishis wrote that the body is the temple of the soul. When we care for this temple with divine wisdom, miraculous transformations naturally occur. This is not coincidence, my friends. This is divine law in action. Let me share one more story that will help you understand the profound impact this simple practice can have on those we love most. Mrs. Sharma came to me in tears one autumn day in 1954. Her 8-year-old son Arjun had been constantly ill for over 2 years. Every few weeks brought a new cold, fever, or stomach ailment. The boy had missed so much school that his teachers were concerned about his progress. Mrs. Sharma had taken him to doctor after doctor, spent money she didn't have on medicines and treatments, but nothing seemed to strengthen his constitution. She was desperate and exhausted. As a single mother working multiple jobs to support her family, she couldn't afford to keep taking time off work to care for her sick child. She had heard about natural healing and was willing to try anything, even though her rational mind told her that if modern medicine couldn't help her son, how could simple home remedies succeed? I looked into her tired eyes and saw a mother's love mixed with desperation. I told her about garlic and jaggery, explaining how to prepare it and emphasizing the importance of giving it to Arjun consistently every single morning. I also taught her a simple prayer to say while preparing the mixture, asking Divine Mother to bless the food with healing energy. Mrs. Sharma later told me that the first few days were challenging. Arjun complained about the taste and tried to refuse the mixture. But she persisted with loving firmness, telling him stories while he ate it and praising him for his courage in trying this natural medicine. The transformation was remarkable. By the second week, Arjun's frequent runny nose had cleared completely. His appetite improved dramatically, and his energy increased so much that Mrs. Sharma joked that now she could barely keep up with him. Most importantly, the constant cycle of illness finally broke. Month after month passed without a single sick day. But the changes went beyond physical health. Arjun's teacher noticed that his concentration and learning had improved significantly. His grades rose, and he began participating enthusiastically in school activities. Mrs. Sharma told me that her son seemed happier and more confident than she had ever seen him. Years later, when Arjun graduated from university with honors, Mrs. Sharma brought him to thank me personally. This strong, healthy young man looked me in the eyes and said, "Yogananda ji, my mother tells me that you taught her the simple remedy that changed my entire childhood. I want you to know that I still eat garlic with jaggery several times a week. It reminds me that the most powerful medicine often comes in the simplest forms." This is not coincidence, my friends. This is divine law in action. Now, let me share with you the sacred science behind this miracle. When we combine garlic and jaggery, we create what the ancient texts called divine alchemy. This is not merely mixing two foods together. This is creating a synergy where the healing properties of each ingredient enhance and multiply the benefits of the other. Garlic, which our ancestors called the divine bulb, contains powerful compounds that awaken the body's natural defense systems. But garlic alone can be harsh on the digestive system and difficult for many people to tolerate in therapeutic amounts. This is where the wisdom of jaggery comes into play. Jaggery, made from the concentrated sap of sugarcane or palm trees, is not just a sweetener. The ancients understood that jaggery contains minerals and nutrients that support the body's ability to absorb and utilize the healing compounds in other foods. More importantly, jaggery has a warming, nourishing energy that balances the intense, penetrating energy of garlic. When combined, these two ingredients create a partnership that is gentle enough for daily use, yet powerful enough to create profound transformations. The jaggery helps your body absorb the beneficial compounds from garlic more completely, while the garlic activates healing processes that jaggery supports and sustains. Modern science has begun to confirm what ancient wisdom always knew. Researchers have discovered that certain combinations of natural foods create therapeutic effects that are impossible to achieve with individual ingredients alone. This is the principle of food synergy, and it explains why traditional combinations like garlic and jaggery have been treasured for thousands of years. But the benefits go far deeper than science can measure. When we prepare and consume food with gratitude and reverence, we invite divine healing energy to work through the natural intelligence of these ingredients. This is why the ancients always blessed their food and ate with mindful awareness. Now let me share with you the 10 transformative benefits that you can expect when you honor your body with this sacred combination for 10 days. First is blood purification, what I call divine detoxification from within. Your blood carries life force to every cell in your body. When toxins accumulate in the blood from stress, poor food choices, and environmental pollutants, every system in your body suffers. Garlic contains sulfur compounds that bind to toxins and help your liver eliminate them naturally. Jaggery provides the minerals your blood needs to maintain its healthy chemistry. Together, they create a gentle but thorough cleansing that leaves you feeling lighter and more energetic. Second is immune system awakening, your body's natural protection activated. Your immune system is like a sleeping guardian that needs the right signals to wake up and function at full power. The compounds in garlic stimulate white blood cell production and enhance their ability to identify and eliminate harmful invaders. Jaggery provides the energy and nutrients these immune cells need to work effectively. After just a few days, you'll notice that your body's resistance to illness becomes noticeably stronger. Third is mental clarity. When the fog lifts and consciousness shines, poor circulation and toxin buildup can cloud your thinking and make concentration difficult. As garlic improves blood flow to your brain and jaggery provides steady glucose for mental energy, you'll experience a clearing of mental fog that many people haven't felt in years. Your memory will sharpen, your decision-making will improve, and your creative thinking will flow more freely. Fourth is digestive fire, what the ancients called Agni, the sacred flame of transformation. Weak digestion is the root of many health problems because undigested food creates toxins that circulate throughout your body. Garlic stimulates the production of digestive enzymes and promotes healthy gut bacteria. Jaggery provides gentle fiber and nutrients that support intestinal health. Together, they rekindle your digestive fire so that food becomes medicine instead of burden. Fifth is energy circulation, prana flowing freely through every cell. When your blood is pure and your digestion is strong, life force energy can move through your body without obstruction. You'll notice that your energy becomes steady and sustainable throughout the day, rather than the ups and downs most people experience. This is not nervous energy or stimulation, but the deep vitality that comes from a body functioning in harmony with natural law. Sixth is stress dissolution, finding peace in the storm. Chronic stress creates inflammation and depletes your body's reserves of healing nutrients. The compounds in garlic help regulate stress hormones and reduce inflammatory responses. Jaggery provides B vitamins and minerals that support your nervous system's ability to remain calm under pressure. As your body heals physically, you'll find that emotional stability and mental peace come more naturally. Seventh is heart strengthening, both physical and emotional healing. Your heart is not just a pump but the center of your emotional and energetic body. Garlic has been shown to support healthy blood pressure and cholesterol levels. while jaggery provides potassium and other minerals that support heart rhythm. But beyond the physical benefits, this combination seems to open the heart to greater feelings of love, compassion, and connection with others. Eighth is respiratory clearing, breathing with divine ease. Many people carry tension and congestion in their lungs and airways without realizing it. Garlic has natural expectorant properties that help clear mucus and open breathing passages. Jaggery soothes irritated tissues and provides nutrients that support lung health. You'll likely notice that your breathing becomes deeper and more satisfying, which enhances both physical energy and meditative states. Ninth is circulation enhancement, life force reaching every corner of your being. Poor circulation leaves some parts of your body undernourished while overworking others. Garlic helps relax blood vessels and improve blood flow to extremities. Jaggery provides iron and other nutrients that support healthy blood formation. You may notice that your hands and feet feel warmer, your skin color improves, and you have better stamina for physical activities. 10th is spiritual sensitivity, opening inner perception. This benefit often surprises people, but it reflects the ancient understanding that physical health and spiritual awareness are intimately connected. As your body becomes cleaner and more energetic, your subtle perceptions naturally become more refined. You may find that your intuition is stronger, your meditation is deeper, and your sense of connection with the divine presence in life becomes more consistent and profound. These 10 benefits work together to create a transformation that touches every aspect of your being. This is why food is humanity's first medicine. Before there were hospitals or pharmacies, there were wise healers who understood that the right foods, prepared and consumed with proper understanding, could prevent illness and restore health naturally. The consciousness we bring to eating is just as important as what we eat. When we consume food with gratitude and awareness, we invite healing energy to work through the natural intelligence of that food. This is why traditional cultures always bless their meals and ate with reverence and mindfulness. How gratitude multiplies healing power is something I have witnessed thousands of times. When you prepare your garlic and jaggery each morning, do so with thankfulness for the earth that grew these ingredients, the sun and rain that nourished them, and the divine intelligence that created their healing properties. This attitude of gratitude actually enhances your body's ability to receive and utilize the benefits they offer. Now, my dear friend, let me show you exactly how to practice this sacred healing so that you can experience these transformations in your own life. The optimal timing for this practice is in the morning on an empty stomach, ideally within the first hour after waking. Your digestive fire is strongest in the morning, and your body is most receptive to healing nutrients before other foods and activities begin to demand its attention. For the precise preparation method, you will need 1 to 2 fresh garlic cloves and 1 teaspoon of pure jaggery. Choose organic garlic when possible, and make sure your jaggery is unrefined and free from artificial additives. Peel the garlic cloves and crush them lightly with the flat side of a knife or with a garlic press. The crushing releases the beneficial compounds and makes them easier to digest. Break the jaggery into small pieces and mix it thoroughly with the crushed garlic. Some people prefer to mash them together into a paste, while others like to keep them somewhat separate so they can taste each ingredient. Both methods are effective, so choose what feels most pleasant to you. The quantity guidelines vary slightly depending on your constitution and tolerance. If you are new to eating raw garlic, start with 1 small clove and half a teaspoon of jaggery. If you have a strong digestive system and no sensitivity to garlic, you can use up to 2 medium cloves with 1 full teaspoon of jaggery. Listen to your body and adjust accordingly. Before you eat this mixture, take a moment to set a prayer or intention. You might say something simple like, "Divine Mother, I receive this food with gratitude and ask that it bring healing and vitality to every cell of my body. May this nourishment serve my highest good and help me serve others with greater energy and clarity." What to expect day by day will help you stay committed to the full 10-day practice. Days 1 and 2, you may notice the strong taste and possibly some mild digestive activity as your body begins to respond. Days 3 through 5, many people report increased energy and improved sleep quality. Days 6 through 8, mental clarity often becomes more noticeable and you may feel more emotionally balanced. Days 9 and 10, the full synergistic effects usually become apparent, with improvements in multiple areas of health and well-being. Some people experience gentle detoxification symptoms in the first few days, such as temporary fatigue or mild digestive changes. This is normal and indicates that your body is beginning to eliminate stored toxins. Drink plenty of pure water and get adequate rest to support this natural cleansing process. Creating your healing sanctuary means setting up your practice space with intention and care. Choose a quiet spot in your kitchen or dining area where you can prepare and consume your garlic and jaggery mindfully. Keep your ingredients in clean containers and prepare them with clean hands and utensils. Treat this as a sacred ritual rather than just taking medicine. The importance of gratitude and mindfulness cannot be overstated. Eat your mixture slowly and with full attention. Notice the flavors, the textures, and any immediate sensations in your body. This mindful approach helps your digestive system prepare to receive and process the healing compounds effectively. How to track your transformation is simple but important for maintaining motivation. Keep a small journal where you note your energy levels, sleep quality, mood, and any other changes you observe each day. Don't focus only on physical symptoms. Pay attention to mental clarity, emotional stability, and spiritual sensitivity as well. Dealing with initial reactions or resistance is part of the process for some people. If you find the taste challenging, remind yourself that medicine is not always pleasant, but that the benefits are profound and lasting. You can drink a small amount of warm water with lemon after eating the mixture to cleanse your palate, but avoid eating other foods for at least 30 minutes to allow maximum absorption. Connecting this practice to meditation can enhance both the physical and spiritual benefits. After consuming your garlic and jaggery, spend a few minutes in quiet reflection or meditation. Notice how the energy in your body feels and send gratitude to every organ and system for the healing work they are doing. Using the experience to develop body awareness is one of the most valuable long-term benefits of this practice. As you become more sensitive to how different foods affect your energy and well-being, you naturally begin making choices that support rather than hinder your health and vitality. How physical healing supports spiritual growth is something many people discover during these 10 days. As your body becomes cleaner and more energetic, you may find that your meditation is deeper, your intuition is clearer, and your sense of connection with divine presence becomes stronger and more consistent. As we complete this sacred teaching together, my beloved friend, you now possess a treasure that kings and queens of ancient times would have paid fortunes to obtain. These two humble ingredients, garlic and jaggery, are not merely food. They are keys to unlocking your body's own divine healing intelligence. Remember, true healing happens when we align with nature's wisdom, not when we fight against it. The path of natural healing requires patience, faith, and consistency. For 10 days, trust in this ancient wisdom and give your body the opportunity to show you its miraculous capacity for renewal and transformation. But more than that, use this experience to develop a deeper relationship with your body as the sacred temple it truly island. Repeat this with me now, with all the faith in your heart. Divine Mother's healing power flows through every cell of my being. I am vibrantly healthy, mentally clear, and spiritually awakened. My body is a temple of light, and I treat it with the reverence it deserves. I am whole, I am healed, I am divine. Feel these words in every fiber of your being. If this ancient wisdom has touched your heart, please subscribe to receive more sacred teachings that can transform your life. Give this video a loving like if it resonates with your soul. Your support helps this wisdom reach other seeking hearts around the world. And please, share in the comments below. What drew you to this teaching today? What changes are you hoping to experience? I read every comment with love and often respond personally. Your spiritual journey matters deeply to me. Let me share with you more stories that will deepen your understanding of this sacred practice. Because wisdom comes not just from knowledge, but from seeing how divine principles work in real life. There was a businessman named Mr. Patel who came to me in 1962, carrying the weight of success on his shoulders, but feeling empty inside. He owned several factories and employed hundreds of people, but his health was deteriorating rapidly. He suffered from chronic headaches, insomnia, and what he described as a constant feeling of anxiety that gnawed at his stomach day and night. Mr. Patel told me he had tried everything modern medicine could offer. He had seen specialists in London, taken expensive medications, and even spent months at exclusive health resorts in Switzerland. Nothing provided lasting relief. His wife was worried that the stress would kill him before he reached 50. When I suggested the garlic and jaggery practice, Mr. Patel looked at me with skepticism mixed with desperation. He said, "Yogananda ji, I have spent thousands of rupees on treatments. How can something so simple and inexpensive possibly help where expensive medicine has failed?" I smiled and told him, "My dear friend, the most profound truths are often the simplest ones. Divine Mother does not charge expensive fees for her healing gifts. She offers them freely to all who approach with faith and gratitude. Mr. Patel agreed to try the practice, though I could see doubt in his eyes. For the first week, he reported little change except that his sleep seemed slightly deeper. But in the second week, something remarkable began to happen. The chronic headaches that had plagued him for years started to fade. By the third week, the constant stomach anxiety had diminished significantly. But the most beautiful transformation came in the fourth week. Mr. Patel returned to see me with tears in his eyes. He said, "Yogananda ji, something has changed inside me that I cannot explain. Not only do I feel physically better, but I find myself approaching my business with a new sense of calm and clarity. I am making better decisions, treating my employees with more patience and kindness, and finding joy in my work again." What Mr. Patel discovered is that healing the body creates space for the soul to express its natural qualities of peace, wisdom, and compassion. When we remove the obstacles that physical discomfort creates, our true nature can shine through more brightly. Years later, Mr. Patel became one of the most respected business leaders in his community, known not just for his success, but for his integrity and generosity. He established free health clinics where traditional remedies like garlic and jaggery were taught alongside modern medicine. He often told people that the simple practice that healed his body also healed his approach to life itself. This brings me to a deeper understanding I want to share with you about the spiritual dimensions of this practice. When we eat garlic and jaggery with proper awareness, we are not just treating symptoms or improving our physical condition. We are participating in a sacred communion with the healing intelligence that pervades all of creation. The ancient rishis understood that everything in nature contains consciousness and purpose. They saw garlic not just as a plant that grew in the ground, but as a concentrated form of the earth's protective and purifying energy. They understood jaggery not merely as a sweet food, but as a carrier of the sun's nourishing and harmonizing power. When we combine these two gifts with gratitude and reverence, we create a bridge between the physical and spiritual dimensions of healing. This is why people often report not just physical improvements, but also enhanced intuition, deeper meditation, and a greater sense of connection with the divine presence in their daily lives. Let me tell you about Sister Mary Catherine, a Catholic nun who came to me in 1959 seeking help for her community. Several of the elderly sisters in her convent were suffering from various ailments, and the medical bills were becoming a burden for their small community. Sister Mary Catherine was initially hesitant to try what she called Hindu medicine, but her love for her sisters overcame her religious reservations. She said, "If God can work through any tradition to bring healing, then I am willing to learn." I taught her how to prepare garlic and jaggery, emphasizing that healing comes from the divine source, regardless of the religious framework we use to understand it. I suggested she offer a Christian prayer of blessing over the mixture, asking for God's healing grace to work through these natural gifts. The results were remarkable not just for the physical healing that occurred, but for the spiritual unity it created in their community. The sisters began preparing the mixture together each morning, turning it into a time of prayer and fellowship. They reported not only improved health, but also a deeper sense of sisterhood and devotion. Sister Mary Catherine later wrote to me, "Father Yogananda, this simple practice has taught us that God's healing power can manifest through the humblest means. We have learned to see His presence in the food we eat, and to approach our meals as opportunities for communion with divine love. This experience taught me that truth transcends religious boundaries. The healing power of garlic and jaggery works equally well whether you approach it through Hindu Ayurveda, Christian prayer, Islamic gratitude, or any sincere spiritual practice. What matters is the faith, gratitude, and reverence you bring to the experience." Now let me share with you some deeper insights about why this particular combination has been treasured across so many cultures for thousands of years. In the ancient science of Ayurveda, every food is understood to have not just nutritional properties but also energetic qualities that affect the subtle aspects of our being. Garlic is classified as having rajasic energy, which means it is activating, stimulating, and transforming. This is why garlic has been used traditionally to awaken sluggish systems and break through blockages in the body. Jaggery, on the other hand, has predominantly sattvic energy, which means it is harmonizing, balancing, and nourishing. Sattvic foods promote mental clarity, emotional stability, and spiritual awareness. This is why jaggery has been favored by yogis and spiritual practitioners for thousands of years. When we combine a rajasic food like garlic with a sattvic food like jaggery, we create what the ancients called a balanced transformation. The activating power of garlic awakens healing processes without creating excess heat or agitation, while the harmonizing energy of jaggery ensures that the changes occur smoothly and sustainably. This principle of balanced transformation is one of the most important concepts in natural healing. Many people make the mistake of using only stimulating remedies when they want to improve their health, not realizing that the body also needs nourishing and harmonizing influences to integrate those changes properly. For example, if you were to eat large amounts of raw garlic without the balancing influence of jaggery, you might experience digestive upset, skin irritation, or nervous agitation. Similarly, if you were to eat only jaggery without the activating influence of garlic, you might feel temporarily energized but not experience the deep cleansing and strengthening that comes from awakening your body's natural healing mechanisms. This is why traditional healing systems always emphasize the importance of proper combinations and proportions. The ancient healers understood that nature provides everything we need for health and harmony, but we must approach her gifts with wisdom and understanding. Let me tell you about another profound aspect of this practice that many people discover as they continue beyond the initial 10 days. The combination of garlic and jaggery seems to enhance what we might call body wisdom, your natural ability to sense what foods, activities, and environments support your well-being. A young woman named Priya came to me in 1965 complaining that she never knew what to eat or how to care for herself properly. She said she felt disconnected from her body and constantly made choices that left her feeling tired, moody, or unwell. She had tried following various diet plans and health programs, but nothing seemed to help her develop a consistent relationship with her own physical needs. After practicing the garlic and jaggery routine for several weeks, Priya reported something fascinating. She said, "Yogananda ji, it's as if my body has awakened and started talking to me. I can now sense which foods will give me energy and which will make me sluggish. I know when I need rest and when I need activity. I feel like I'm finally living in partnership with my physical self instead of fighting against it." This awakening of body wisdom is one of the most valuable long-term benefits of this practice. As your system becomes cleaner and more balanced, your natural sensitivity to what supports or hinders your well-being becomes much more refined and reliable. Many people in modern times have lost touch with this inner guidance because processed foods, artificial stimulants, and chronic stress have dulled their natural sensitivity. But as you cleanse and strengthen your system with simple, natural practices like eating garlic and jaggery, this innate wisdom gradually returns. This body wisdom extends beyond food choices to every aspect of self-care. People often find that they naturally begin sleeping better, exercising more appropriately for their constitution, and even choosing relationships and environments that support their well-being more effectively. I want to share with you now some of the more subtle but profound effects that people experience as they continue this practice over longer periods. While the 10-day experience will give you a clear taste of the benefits, the deeper transformations often unfold over weeks and months of consistent practice. One of the most beautiful changes people report is what I call effortless vitality. This is different from the artificial energy that comes from stimulants, or the forced energy that comes from pushing yourself beyond your natural limits. Effortless vitality is the steady, sustainable energy that arises when your body's systems are working in harmony with natural law. Mrs. Krishnan, a mother of 4 children, described this beautifully when she told me, "Yogananda ji, before this practice, I felt like I was constantly running on empty, forcing myself through each day with coffee and willpower. Now I feel like I have a deep well of energy that never runs dry. I can care for my family, manage my household, and still have energy left for my own spiritual practice and personal interests." This effortless vitality comes from the fact that your body is no longer working overtime to deal with toxins, sluggish digestion, or chronic low-level inflammation. When these burdens are lifted, the energy that was being used for damage control becomes available for creative expression, loving service, and joyful living. Another profound change that many people experience is what we might call emotional resilience. Life will always bring challenges and difficulties, but when your physical foundation is strong and healthy, you naturally have more capacity to meet these challenges with equanimity and wisdom. A college student named Rajesh told me, "Since beginning this practice, I noticed that the things that used to upset me deeply now seem much more manageable. It's not that I don't feel emotions, but I don't get overwhelmed by them. I can respond to situations with more clarity and less reactivity." This emotional resilience comes partly from improved brain chemistry that results from better nutrition and circulation, but it also reflects a deeper truth about the mind-body connection. When the body feels safe and well cared for, the mind naturally relaxes and becomes more spacious and peaceful. Now let me address some practical questions that often arise as people begin this practice. Many people wonder about the best way to handle the strong taste of raw garlic, especially in the morning when the stomach may be sensitive. The key is to approach this gradually and with patience. If you find the taste too intense at first, you can start with smaller amounts and increase gradually as your tolerance builds. Some people find it helpful to cut the garlic into small pieces and swallow them like pills along with the jaggery, rather than chewing them completely. Others prefer to crush the garlic very thoroughly and mix it completely with the jaggery to create a more uniform paste. This distributes the garlic flavor throughout the jaggery and can make it more palatable for sensitive individuals. If you experience any stomach irritation in the first few days, reduce the amount of garlic slightly and make sure you are eating the mixture on a completely empty stomach. Sometimes irritation occurs when garlic is mixed with other foods or when the stomach contains residual acid from the previous day's meals. Some people ask whether they can take this mixture at other times of day if morning doesn't work for their schedule. While morning is optimal for maximum absorption and to avoid interference with sleep, you can take it at other times if necessary. The most important thing is consistency and taking it on an empty stomach at least 2 hours after your last meal and 1 hour before your next meal. Another common question concerns whether certain health conditions or medications might interact with this practice. While garlic and jaggery are generally safe and beneficial for most people, those taking blood-thinning medications should consult with their healthcare provider, as garlic can enhance the effects of these medications. People with diabetes should also be mindful of the jaggery content and may want to reduce the amount slightly or choose a lower glycemic sweetener like raw honey if their condition requires strict blood sugar control. However, many diabetics find that the combination actually helps stabilize their blood sugar over time as their overall metabolism improves. Let me share with you now some advanced practices that can enhance the benefits of this basic routine for those who want to deepen their experience. One beautiful enhancement is to prepare your garlic and jaggery while chanting or humming softly. The vibrations from chanting create subtle, energetic effects that many people find enhance both the preparation process and the healing effects. You might chant Om or any sacred sound that feels meaningful to you, or simply hum a tune that brings you joy and peace. Another advanced practice is to eat your mixture while facing the rising sun, if your schedule and location permit this. The ancient rishis believed that consuming healing foods while receiving the early morning sunlight creates a synergy between the external energy of the sun and the internal energy activated by the food. Some people like to follow their garlic and jaggery with a few minutes of pranayama or breathing exercises. This helps circulate the activated energy throughout the body and can enhance both the physical and spiritual benefits of the practice. You might also consider keeping a detailed journal not just of physical changes, but of mental and emotional patterns, dream experiences, and synchronicities that occur during your practice period. Many people report increased intuition, meaningful dreams, and positive coincidences when they are supporting their body with consistent natural healing practices. For those interested in the deeper philosophical aspects of this practice, I want to share some insights from the ancient texts about why certain food combinations were considered sacred by our ancestors. The Karaka Samhita, one of the foundational texts of Ayurveda, speaks about the concept of prabhava, the unique, unexplainable effect that certain substances have beyond their known chemical properties. The text suggests that some foods carry subtle energies that can influence consciousness and spiritual development in ways that pure nutritional analysis cannot explain. This concept of prabhava helps explain why traditional cultures developed such specific practices around food combinations, timing, and preparation methods. They understood that eating is not just a physical act, but a form of communion with the life force that sustains all existence. When we eat garlic and jaggery with awareness of this deeper dimension, we transform a simple health practice into a form of spiritual discipline. Each morning becomes an opportunity to connect with the healing intelligence that pervades creation and to invite that intelligence to work through our own body and mind. This spiritual approach to healing is what distinguishes traditional wisdom from modern medicine. While modern medicine focuses primarily on treating symptoms and diseases, traditional wisdom seeks to align the individual with the natural laws that govern health, happiness, and spiritual growth. I want to share with you one more story that illustrates the profound long-term effects this practice can have when approached with proper understanding and devotion. There was an elderly sage named Swami Brahmananda who lived in a remote ashram in the Himalayas. Despite being over 90 years old, he possessed remarkable vitality and mental clarity. Visiting pilgrims often asked him about the secret of his extraordinary health and longevity. Swami Brahmananda would smile and tell them about his daily practice of eating garlic with jaggery that he had maintained for over 70 years. He explained that this simple routine had become a form of moving meditation for him, a daily reminder of the body's sacred nature and the divine's constant provision for all our needs. But what made his practice truly transformative was the consciousness he brought to it. Each morning, as he prepared his garlic and jaggery, he would offer prayers for the health and well-being of all beings everywhere. He saw his personal healing practice as connected to the healing of the entire world. Swami Brahmananda taught that when we heal ourselves with awareness and gratitude, we contribute to the healing of the collective human consciousness. Our individual transformation becomes a gift to the entire human family. This understanding elevates the practice of eating garlic and jaggery from a personal health routine to a form of service to humanity. When you commit to caring for your body with wisdom and devotion, you become an example of what is possible when human beings align with natural law rather than fighting against it. As I reflect on the thousands of people I have taught this practice to over the decades, I am continually amazed by the creativity and dedication they bring to making it their own. Some people incorporate it into elaborate morning rituals, while others keep it beautifully simple. Some connect it to their existing spiritual practices, while others approach it purely as natural medicine. What matters most is not the external form of your practice, but the sincerity and consistency you bring to it. The healing power lies not in perfect technique, but in genuine commitment to supporting your body's natural wisdom with patience, faith, and love. I encourage you to approach these 10 days as a sacred experiment, a chance to discover what your body is capable of when given the right support. Pay attention not only to obvious physical changes, but also to subtle shifts in your energy, mood, mental clarity, and spiritual sensitivity. Some people experience dramatic improvements quickly, while others notice more gradual changes that build over time. Both patterns are perfectly normal and beneficial. Trust your body's own timing and wisdom, and avoid comparing your experience to others. Remember that healing is not just about eliminating symptoms or achieving perfect health. True healing is about developing a loving, respectful relationship with your body as the sacred vessel that carries your soul through this lifetime. As you embark on this practice, know that you are connecting with an unbroken chain of wisdom that stretches back thousands of years to the original healers and sages who first discovered these natural laws. You are not just taking medicine, you are participating in humanity's ancient understanding of how to live in harmony with the healing forces of creation. The simple act of eating garlic with jaggery each morning becomes a daily affirmation of your commitment to honor your body, trust in natural wisdom, and open yourself to the transformative power that lies dormant within every human being. May this practice awaken in you not only vibrant physical health, but also a deeper appreciation for the miraculous intelligence that governs every function of your body without any conscious effort on your part. May it remind you daily that you are not separate from the healing forces of nature, but are yourself an expression of the same creative intelligence that grows flowers, heals wounds, and transforms seeds into mighty trees. And may the vitality and clarity you gain from this practice enable you to serve others with greater love, wisdom, and compassion, so that your healing becomes a blessing to all whose lives you touch. Let me now share with you some of the most remarkable healing stories I have witnessed over my many decades of teaching this sacred practice. Each story reveals a different aspect of the profound transformation that becomes possible when we align our daily habits with the eternal laws of natural healing. There was a young teacher named Kamala who came to me in 1967, barely 25 years old but already showing signs of premature aging and chronic exhaustion. She taught at a village school where she was responsible for 60 children of various ages in a single classroom. The workload was overwhelming, and she had developed what doctors called chronic fatigue syndrome, though they offered no effective treatment. Kamala's eyes had lost their sparkle, her skin appeared dull and lifeless, and she told me she felt like an old woman trapped in a young body. She said, "Yogananda ji, I love teaching children, but I can barely get through each day. By afternoon, I am so exhausted that I have no patience left for my students. I fear I am failing them and myself." I taught her the garlic and jaggery practice, but I also helped her understand something deeper about energy and service. I explained that when we try to give from an empty vessel, we eventually have nothing left to offer. True service to others must be built upon a foundation of caring for ourselves with wisdom and compassion. Kamala embraced the practice with the same dedication she brought to her teaching. Each morning she would wake before dawn, prepare her garlic and jaggery mindfully, and eat it while watching the sunrise from her small cottage garden. She made this time sacred, using it not only for physical nourishment but also for setting her intention for the day ahead. The transformation was remarkable to witness. Within 2 weeks, Kamala's energy began to stabilize throughout the day. By the 4th week, her students noticed that their beloved teacher was more patient, creative, and joyful in her interactions with them. By the 8th week, other teachers from neighboring schools were asking Kamala what had changed, because her classroom had become known throughout the district for its atmosphere of learning and happiness. But the most beautiful part of Kamala's story unfolded over the following years. As her health and vitality flourished, she became an inspiration to her entire community. She started teaching other women about natural health practices, established a small garden where children could learn about medicinal plants, and eventually became the headmistress of a school that was famous throughout the region for its holistic approach to education. 20 years later, when I visited her school, I found Kamala in her 40s looking younger and more vibrant than she had in her 20s. She told me, "Yogananda ji, that simple practice you taught me didn't just heal my body. It taught me that I could take responsibility for my own well-being and become a source of healing for others. Every morning when I eat my garlic and jaggery, I remember that caring for myself is not selfish but essential for serving others with love and excellence." Kamala's story illustrates a profound principle that many people miss when they think about health and healing. Physical vitality is not an end in itself but a foundation for expressing our highest potential in service to life. When we heal ourselves with wisdom and dedication, we become capable of contributions we never thought possible. This understanding transforms the practice of eating garlic and jaggery from a personal health routine into a form of spiritual preparation for meaningful service in the world. Each morning becomes an opportunity to strengthen not only your body but also your capacity to be a positive force in the lives of others. Let me tell you about another dimension of this practice that reveals itself to those who approach it with deep sincerity and patience. There was a merchant named Gopal who had been practicing the garlic and jaggery routine for over 5 years when he came to me with an unusual question. He said, "Yogananda ji, I am grateful for all the physical benefits I have received from this practice. My health is excellent, my energy is stable, and my mind is clear. But lately, I have been experiencing something I cannot explain. Sometimes, when I am eating my morning mixture, I feel a profound sense of connection with something much larger than myself. It is as if the simple act of eating becomes a form of prayer or communion. Is this normal, or am I imagining things?" I smiled and told Gopal that he was experiencing what the ancient texts describe as prasadam consciousness, the awareness that all food is a gift from the divine and that eating with proper reverence becomes a form of worship. When we consistently approach our nourishment with gratitude and mindfulness, we begin to perceive the sacred dimension that underlies all physical existence. This deepening of consciousness often occurs naturally as people continue the practice over months and years. The simple act of eating garlic and jaggery becomes a daily reminder of our intimate connection with the life force that sustains all beings. Food transforms from something we consume unconsciously into a sacrament that nourishes both body and soul. Gopal went on to describe how this shift in consciousness began affecting other areas of his life. He found himself approaching his business dealings with greater integrity and compassion. He started seeing his customers not as sources of profit but as fellow human beings deserving of honest service and fair treatment. His family relationships became more harmonious as he brought the same mindfulness and gratitude he practiced with food into his interactions with loved ones. This expansion of awareness beyond the immediate health benefits is one of the most beautiful aspects of this ancient practice. When we honor the sacred dimension of eating, we develop a reverence for life that naturally extends to all our activities and relationships. Now, I want to share with you some insights about the seasonal and cyclical aspects of this practice that can help you optimize its benefits throughout the year. The ancient healers understood that our bodies have different needs during different seasons, and they adjusted their practices accordingly to maintain harmony with natural rhythms. During the winter months, when the body needs more warming and strengthening foods, you might increase the amount of jaggery slightly to provide extra nourishment and energy for maintaining body heat. The natural sweetness of jaggery also helps counteract the tendency toward depression and low energy that many people experience during the darker months. In summer, when the body benefits from cooling and cleansing influences, you might reduce the jaggery amount slightly and ensure that you are drinking plenty of pure water throughout the day to support the detoxification process that garlic promotes. Some people find it helpful to eat their mixture slightly earlier in the morning during hot weather to avoid any warming effects during the heat of the day. During the spring season, which is traditionally considered the optimal time for cleansing and renewal, the full combination of garlic and jaggery works particularly powerfully to support the body's natural desire to eliminate accumulated toxins from the winter months and prepare for the active energy of summer. In autumn, as the body prepares for the more inward time of winter, this practice helps strengthen the immune system and build reserves of energy and vitality that will sustain you through the colder months ahead. These seasonal adjustments are subtle, and many people find that the basic practice works well year-round without modification. But for those who want to deepen their attunement to natural cycles, paying attention to these seasonal variations can enhance both the physical and spiritual benefits of the practice. I also want to address some of the deeper questions that arise as people continue this practice over longer periods. One of the most common questions concerns whether it is beneficial to continue the practice indefinitely or whether it should be done in cycles with periodic breaks. The answer depends largely on your individual constitution and response to the practice. Many people find that after the initial 10-day period, they naturally want to continue because they feel so much better. Others prefer to do intensive 10-day cycles several times a year, perhaps at the change of seasons or during times when they feel their health needs extra support. Some people develop such a positive relationship with this practice that it becomes a permanent part of their daily routine, like brushing their teeth or practicing meditation. There is no harm in this approach, as garlic and jaggery are both whole foods that can be consumed safely on a long-term basis by most people. The key is to listen to your body's wisdom and adjust the practice according to your changing needs. If you find that you are becoming too stimulated, or if the practice begins to feel mechanical rather than beneficial, it may be time for a break or a modification of the amounts you are using. What matters most is maintaining a conscious, responsive relationship with the practice, rather than following it blindly out of habit. The goal is always to support your body's natural intelligence, not to override it with rigid rules or expectations. Let me share with you the story of an elderly woman named Grandmother Lakshmi, who taught me some of the most profound lessons about the art of natural healing. When I met her in 1971, she was already in her 80s but possessed the vitality and mental sharpness of someone decades younger. Grandmother Lakshmi had been eating garlic with jaggery every morning for over 50 years, but what made her approach unique was the way she had developed the practice into a complete philosophy of living. She told me, "Young Yogananda, most people think that health is about taking the right medicines or following the correct diet. But true health comes from understanding that every choice we make either supports life or weakens it." She explained that her morning practice had taught her to approach every aspect of her day with the same mindfulness and reverence she brought to preparing and eating her garlic and jaggery. She chose her thoughts as carefully as she chose her foods, selected her activities as deliberately as she selected her medicines, and cultivated her relationships with the same attention she gave to her health practices. Grandmother Lakshmi lived to be 104 years old, remaining mentally sharp and physically active until just a few weeks before her peaceful passing. But her greatest legacy was not her longevity but the wisdom she shared about integrating natural healing practices into a complete way of life. She taught me that the real power of eating garlic and jaggery lies not in the chemical compounds or nutritional benefits, important as these are, but in the discipline of daily commitment to supporting life force with conscious choices. This discipline, practiced consistently over time, develops what she called wisdom muscles, the capacity to make choices that serve our highest good even when they require effort or sacrifice. These wisdom muscles, once developed through simple practices like mindful eating, naturally extend to other areas of life. We become more skilled at choosing thoughts that create peace rather than anxiety, relationships that support growth rather than stagnation, and activities that contribute to the greater good rather than serving only selfish interests. This is why I always encourage people to see their health practices not as isolated routines but as training for the larger art of conscious living. Every morning when you mindfully prepare and eat your garlic and jaggery, you are not just nourishing your body but strengthening your capacity to live with wisdom and intention. Now let me address a question that many sincere practitioners ask about the relationship between this natural practice and other health approaches they may be using. Some people wonder whether eating garlic and jaggery is compatible with modern medical treatments, vitamin supplements, or other natural remedies they have been using. In most cases, this practice works harmoniously with other health approaches because it supports the body's fundamental healing mechanisms rather than forcing specific reactions. However, there are some important considerations to keep in mind. If you are taking medications for serious health conditions, it is always wise to inform your healthcare provider about any new practices you are beginning, including natural ones. While garlic and jaggery are generally safe, garlic can interact with certain blood-thinning medications and may enhance their effects. If you are taking multiple vitamin supplements, you may find that as your body becomes healthier and your absorption improves through this practice, you need fewer artificial supplements. Many people discover that their bodies begin to extract more nutrition from whole foods, reducing their dependence on isolated nutrients in pill form. This is not to say that supplements are never helpful, but rather that the goal of any health practice should be to strengthen the body's natural ability to maintain itself rather than creating dependence on external supports. The garlic and jaggery practice works toward this goal by supporting digestive health, improving circulation, and enhancing the body's natural detoxification processes. The most important principle is to approach your health with wisdom and moderation, rather than extremism in any direction. Some people make the mistake of abandoning all modern medical care in favor of natural remedies, while others dismiss traditional wisdom entirely in favor of pharmaceutical approaches. The wisest path usually involves integrating the best of both worlds while maintaining common sense and individual discernment. Let me share with you some advanced variations of this practice that experienced practitioners have developed over the years. These modifications can help you adapt the basic routine to your specific constitution and health goals. One popular variation involves adding a small pinch of high-quality salt to the garlic and jaggery mixture. The ancient texts speak of salt as a catalyst that enhances the absorption and effectiveness of other healing substances. A tiny amount of rock salt or sea salt can help balance the sweet and pungent flavors while supporting electrolyte balance in the body. Another variation that some people find beneficial is to drink a small amount of warm water with fresh lemon juice about 15 minutes after eating the garlic and jaggery. The citric acid in lemon can help with the absorption of certain nutrients and may reduce any lingering garlic taste. However, it's important to wait at least 15 minutes to allow the initial absorption of the garlic and jaggery to occur without dilution. Some practitioners like to follow their morning mixture with a few drops of pure ghee or coconut oil on the tongue. These healthy fats can help with the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins and may provide a soothing coating for the stomach lining if you are sensitive to the intensity of raw garlic. For those who practice yoga or meditation, there is a beautiful variation that involves eating the garlic and jaggery while performing slow, mindful breathing exercises. The enhanced oxygenation that comes from conscious breathing can help circulate the activated nutrients throughout the body more effectively. Another advanced practice involves preparing larger amounts of the mixture and storing it in the refrigerator for several days at a time. Some people find that allowing the garlic and jaggery to marinate together overnight or for several days creates a more mellow flavor and may enhance the blending of their beneficial properties. However, if you choose this approach, it's important to use clean utensils and store the mixture in a clean, covered container to prevent contamination. Fresh preparation each day is generally preferable, but prepared mixtures can be convenient for people with very busy schedules. I want to share with you now some insights about how this practice affects different constitutional types, because understanding your individual nature can help you optimize the benefits you receive. In the ancient system of Ayurveda, people are classified into three basic constitutional types called doshas, vata, pitta, and kapha. Each type has different characteristics and responds somewhat differently to various foods and practices. Vata types tend to be naturally thin, energetic, and creative, but they can be prone to anxiety, irregular digestion, and nervous exhaustion. For Vata individuals, the garlic and jaggery practice is usually very beneficial because it provides grounding, nourishing energy that helps stabilize their naturally variable constitution. Vata types may want to emphasize the jaggery slightly more than the garlic to provide extra sweet, nourishing energy. Pitta types are typically of medium build with strong digestion and good mental focus, but they can be prone to irritability, inflammation, and perfectionism. Pitta individuals usually respond well to this practice but they may want to start with smaller amounts of garlic to avoid overstimulation. The cooling, sweet energy of jaggery is particularly beneficial for balancing pitta's naturally hot, intense nature. Kapha types tend to be larger framed, steady, and calm, but they can struggle with sluggish metabolism, weight gain, and resistance to change. For Kapha individuals, this practice is often extremely beneficial because the stimulating properties of garlic help activate their naturally slow metabolism, while the energy from jaggery provides motivation without heaviness. Of course, most people are combinations of these types, rather than pure examples of any single constitution. The key is to pay attention to how your body responds and adjust accordingly. If you feel overstimulated, reduce the garlic amount. If you feel you need more energy activation, you might increase the garlic slightly or ensure you are eating the mixture on a completely empty stomach for maximum absorption. These constitutional considerations are guidelines rather than rigid rules. Your own experience and body wisdom are always the best teachers for determining what works most effectively for your unique situation. Let me tell you about a fascinating research study that was conducted in the 1970 seconds by a group of doctors who became interested in traditional healing practices. They decided to investigate the effects of the garlic and jaggery combination on a group of volunteers who had been suffering from various chronic health complaints. The study followed 60 people for 3 months, with 30 participants eating garlic and jaggery daily and 30 others following their usual routines without any special dietary interventions. The researchers measured various health markers including blood pressure, cholesterol levels, immune function indicators, and subjective reports of energy and well-being. The results were remarkable even by the standards of the doctors who conducted the study. The group consuming garlic and jaggery showed significant improvements in almost every measure that was tested. Blood pressure normalized in those who had elevated readings, cholesterol levels improved substantially, and markers of immune function showed enhanced activity. But what surprised the researchers most were the subjective reports from the participants. People described improvements in sleep quality, mental clarity, emotional stability, and overall life satisfaction that went far beyond what they had expected from a simple dietary intervention. Dr. Mehta, who led the study, later told me, "Yogananda ji, we designed this research expecting to find some modest improvements in physical health markers. What we discovered was that this simple practice seemed to optimize the functioning of the entire human system in ways that our medical training had not prepared us to understand." The study participants were so enthusiastic about their results that many continued the practice long after the formal research period ended. Several of them reported that the 3 months of eating garlic and jaggery had been a turning point in their relationship with their own health and well-being. This research helped validate scientifically what traditional healers had known experientially for thousands of years. The combination of garlic and jaggery creates synergistic effects that support optimal human functioning at multiple levels simultaneously. While modern science continues to investigate the mechanisms behind these effects, traditional wisdom reminds us that some truths can be known directly through experience, without waiting for complete scientific explanation. The ancient healers trusted their observations of what worked consistently over time, and their wisdom has proven remarkably accurate when subjected to modern scientific scrutiny. Now I want to share with you some deeper philosophical reflections on what this practice can teach us about the nature of healing and transformation. When we commit to eating garlic and jaggery consistently each morning, we are engaging in what might be called micro-discipline, the development of our capacity to follow through on beneficial choices, even when they require small amounts of effort or sacrifice. This micro-discipline is like exercising a muscle that grows stronger with regular use. Each morning when you choose to prepare and eat your mixture mindfully rather than rushing through your routine unconsciously, you strengthen your ability to make conscious choices throughout the day. Over time, this strengthened capacity for conscious choice naturally extends to other areas of life. People often find that as they become more disciplined about their morning health practice, they also become more reliable in their relationships, more focused in their work, and more consistent in their spiritual practices. This is because discipline is not really about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. True discipline is about developing the inner strength to choose what serves your highest good, even when easier options are available. This strength, once developed, becomes a treasure that enhances every aspect of life. The morning practice of eating garlic and jaggery becomes a daily opportunity to choose long-term well-being over immediate convenience, conscious nourishment over unconscious consumption, and reverence for life over mechanical routine. These choices, repeated consistently over time, gradually transform not only our health but our entire approach to living. I have observed that people who maintain this practice for months or years often develop what I call natural authority, a quiet confidence that comes from knowing they can be trusted to care for themselves wisely. This self-trust creates a foundation of inner security that allows them to take appropriate risks, pursue meaningful goals, and serve others with greater effectiveness. The ancient texts speak of this quality as swadharma, alignment with one's authentic nature and highest purpose. When we care for our physical temple with wisdom and consistency, we create conditions that allow our true nature to express itself more freely and powerfully. This connection between physical health practices and spiritual development is one of the most important teachings I can share with you. Your body is not separate from your soul, but is the vehicle through which your soul expresses itself in this physical world. When you honor your body with conscious care, you honor the divine presence that dwells within you. Let me share with you the story of a remarkable woman named Dr. Indira, who discovered this truth in a very personal way. She was a successful pediatrician who had dedicated her life to healing children, but she had neglected her own health for years in service to her demanding practice. Dr. Indira came to me in 1975 suffering from chronic headaches, digestive problems, and what she described as a gradual loss of joy in her work. She said, "Yogananda ji, I became a doctor because I wanted to heal children and ease their suffering. But somewhere along the way, I lost the sense of purpose and compassion that originally inspired me. I go through the motions of caring for my patients, but I feel like I am operating on empty." I taught her the garlic and jaggery practice, but I also helped her understand that serving others effectively requires first learning to serve ourselves with wisdom and compassion. I explained that when we deplete our own vital energy through neglect or overwork, we gradually lose our capacity to truly help others. Dr. Indira embraced the practice with the same scientific curiosity she brought to her medical work. She began documenting not only her physical changes but also shifts in her mental clarity, emotional stability, and professional effectiveness. Within a month, she reported that her headaches had virtually disappeared and her digestion had improved dramatically. But the change that meant most to her was the gradual return of her natural compassion and enthusiasm for her work with children. She told me, "Yogananda ji, as my own health improved, I found myself truly seeing my young patients again rather than just diagnosing their symptoms. My heart opened to their suffering in a way that allowed me to be genuinely helpful rather than merely professionally competent." Dr. Indira went on to integrate traditional healing wisdom into her medical practice, teaching other doctors about the importance of caring for themselves as a foundation for caring for others. She became known throughout her community not only for her medical expertise but for her unusual combination of scientific knowledge and heartfelt compassion. Her story illustrates a principle that applies to everyone, not just those in helping professions. When we neglect our own well-being in the name of serving others, we eventually become less capable of offering genuine help. But when we care for ourselves with wisdom and dedication, our natural capacity for love and service expands. This understanding transforms self-care from a selfish indulgence into a sacred responsibility. Taking time each morning to nourish your body mindfully becomes an investment in your ability to contribute positively to the world throughout the day. Now let me address some of the common obstacles that people encounter when trying to establish this practice and how to overcome them with patience and wisdom. One of the most frequent challenges is simply remembering to prepare and eat the mixture each morning, especially during the first few weeks when it has not yet become an established habit. The key to overcoming this obstacle is to link the new practice to something you already do consistently each morning. For example, you might place your garlic and jaggery supplies next to your toothbrush so that you see them as soon as you enter the bathroom each morning. Or you might prepare the mixture while your morning tea or coffee is brewing, creating a natural sequence that helps you remember the new routine. Some people find it helpful to set a gentle alarm on their phone for the same time each morning, with a label that reminds them of their commitment to this healing practice. The key is to make remembering as easy as possible until the habit becomes automatic. Another common obstacle is resistance to the taste, especially during the first few days when your palate is adjusting to the strong flavor of raw garlic. The most effective approach is to start with smaller amounts and increase gradually as your tolerance builds. You might begin with half a garlic clove and half a teaspoon of jaggery for the first few days, then increase to the full amounts as the taste becomes more familiar. Remember that your taste preferences can change over time, and many people find that foods they initially found challenging become quite enjoyable as their health improves. Some people encounter resistance not to the taste but to the time and effort required to prepare the mixture each morning. This resistance usually reflects a deeper pattern of prioritizing external demands over personal well-being. The solution is to recognize that the few minutes required for this practice are an investment that pays dividends throughout the entire day. When your energy is stable and your mind is clear, you actually accomplish more in less time and with greater satisfaction. I often remind people that we somehow find time for activities that we truly value, whether that's checking social media, watching television, or engaging in other routine habits. The question is not whether you have time for this practice, but whether you value your health and well-being enough to prioritize them over less important activities. Another obstacle that some people encounter is skepticism about whether such a simple practice can really create significant changes. This skepticism often comes from our cultural conditioning that associates effectiveness with complexity and expense. The antidote to skepticism is experimentation. Rather than trying to convince yourself intellectually that the practice will work, simply commit to trying it consistently for 10 days and observing what happens. Your direct experience will provide more convincing evidence than any amount of theoretical explanation. It's also helpful to remember that the most profound truths are often the simplest ones. The fact that something is simple does not make it less powerful. The sun provides energy for all life on Earth through the simple process of nuclear fusion. The heart sustains life through the simple rhythm of expansion and contraction. Breathing maintains consciousness through the simple cycle of inhalation and exhalation. Nature's most effective processes are characterized by elegant simplicity rather than complicated mechanisms. The healing power of garlic and jaggery reflects this same principle of natural elegance. Some people encounter resistance from family members or friends who may be skeptical about traditional healing practices or concerned about changes in established routines. This social resistance can be more challenging than personal obstacles because it involves navigating relationships and potentially conflicting values. The most effective approach is usually to focus on your own experience rather than trying to convince others of the practice's value. Begin quietly and consistently, allowing your improving health and vitality to speak for themselves. Many people find that their initial skeptics become curious and eventually interested when they observe positive changes over time. If you encounter strong opposition from people close to you, it may be helpful to explain that you are conducting a personal experiment in natural health and that you would appreciate their support in allowing you to try something that is harmless and potentially beneficial. Remember that people's resistance to change often comes from their own fears or insecurities rather than genuine concern for your well-being. Stay centered in your own knowing and trust your body's wisdom to guide you toward what serves your highest good. Let me share with you now some insights about how this practice can support you during times of particular stress or challenge in your life. Many people discover that their morning routine of eating garlic and jaggery becomes a source of stability and strength during difficult periods. During times of emotional stress, such as relationship difficulties, work pressures, or family challenges, maintaining this simple practice can provide a sense of continuity and self-care that helps you navigate difficulties with greater resilience. The physical benefits of improved energy and mental clarity become especially valuable when you are dealing with complex problems that require sustained attention and wise decision-making. Many people report that their ability to handle stress improves significantly when they maintain consistent health practices. During times of physical challenge, such as recovering from illness or dealing with chronic health conditions, the immune-supporting and energy-enhancing effects of garlic and jaggery can be particularly beneficial. However, it's important to adjust the practice appropriately if you are dealing with serious health issues. If you are recovering from surgery or a serious illness, you may want to start with smaller amounts and increase gradually as your strength returns. If you are dealing with digestive sensitivities, you might crush the garlic more thoroughly or reduce the amount until your system becomes stronger. The key is to listen to your body's wisdom and adjust the practice to support your healing rather than creating additional stress or discomfort. The goal is always to work with your body's natural intelligence rather than forcing it to accommodate rigid rules. During times of spiritual seeking or transition, many people find that this practice supports their inner development in unexpected ways. The discipline of daily commitment can become a form of spiritual exercise that strengthens your capacity for consistent practice in other areas. The increased mental clarity and emotional stability that come from improved physical health can also create better conditions for meditation, prayer, or other spiritual practices. Many people report that their inner life deepens as their physical foundation becomes stronger. Now I want to share with you some beautiful variations of this practice that people have developed for special occasions or seasonal celebrations. These variations honor the basic principles while adding elements of joy and creativity that can enhance both the practical and spiritual dimensions of the practice. During the harvest season, some people like to use freshly made jaggery that has been prepared from newly harvested sugarcane. The extra freshness and vitality of seasonal jaggery can add special energy to the practice and connect you more deeply with the natural cycles of growth and abundance. During winter months, some practitioners add a tiny pinch of warming spices like ginger powder or cinnamon to their mixture. These additions can help counteract the cooling effects of winter weather, while adding delicious flavors that make the practice more enjoyable during cold months. For special celebrations or personal milestones, some people create elaborate rituals around their morning practice, including special prayers, candle lighting, or offerings of gratitude. These ceremonial elements can help mark important transitions or achievements, while honoring the role that consistent health practices have played in supporting your growth. Some families develop shared versions of this practice, with each family member eating their garlic and jaggery together as a form of collective health commitment. Children often respond well to this approach when it is presented as a family adventure in natural healing rather than a medical requirement. The key to all variations is maintaining the essential elements of mindfulness, gratitude, and consistency, while allowing creativity and personal preference to enhance your enjoyment and commitment to the practice. As we near the end of our time together, I want to share with you some final reflections on the deeper spiritual significance of committing to care for your physical temple with such dedication and love. In the ancient traditions, the body was understood not as a burden to be transcended but as a sacred vehicle to be honored and maintained with wisdom. The great saints and sages of old knew that spiritual realization could not be separated from physical health and vitality. When you eat garlic and jaggery each morning with awareness and gratitude, you are participating in this ancient understanding. You are declaring that your body is worthy of conscious care, that your health is valuable enough to invest time and attention in, and that you are committed to creating the best possible conditions for your soul's expression in this lifetime. This daily act of self-care becomes a form of prayer without words, a meditation in action, and a demonstration of your willingness to take responsibility for your own well-being rather than leaving it entirely to external authorities or chance. The consistency required for this practice develops what the spiritual traditions call tapas, the inner fire of disciplined commitment that burns away obstacles to spiritual growth. Each morning when you choose this practice over the easier option of neglecting your health, you strengthen the inner muscle that allows you to choose what serves your highest good in all areas of life. Over time, this strengthened capacity for conscious choice naturally extends beyond health practices to encompass every aspect of your existence. You become someone who can be trusted to make decisions that serve not only your personal well-being but the greater good of all life. This transformation from someone who reacts unconsciously to circumstances into someone who responds consciously to life's opportunities and challenges is one of the most valuable fruits of maintaining consistent spiritual practices, including practices that care for the physical body. The ancient texts speak of such individuals as Jivan Mukta, liberated while living. They have learned to align their daily choices with eternal principles, creating lives of harmony, service, and joy that inspire others to seek the same integration of wisdom and action. Your morning practice of eating garlic and jaggery may seem like a small thing, but it connects you to this timeless tradition of conscious living. Each day that you honor your commitment to this practice, you strengthen your connection to the lineage of seekers who have found freedom through the consistent application of spiritual wisdom to practical life. Until we meet again in the next teaching, may you walk in radiant health, think with crystal clarity, and feel the divine presence in every breath. Bless you, my dear friend. Bless you.